Life's about options. When I take the snap, drop back, read the defense, I have infinite possibilities. And split seconds to the side. In my game, the clock is always running. Sometimes you gotta throw away the playbook and go with your gut. I'm keeping my options wide open. This is my read. This is my Sports Center.
The following is available in high definition.
Sounds great for football, but I know when it feels just right. We're gonna kick back and relax, watch football on a Friday night. It's Friday, and we're gonna be hard to tame. It's Friday, coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game. And the road comes after party, and we're ready for a fight.
On the marquee to start the night. Touchdown! What a catch!
It's Friday night football tonight. It's Friday. It's Friday night football tonight. It's Friday.
Here we are, Friday the 13th, another edition of Friday Night Football. Winnipeg versus Edmonton. Make sure you don't miss a thing. History may be made, and I'm not talking about the touchdown record, so make sure you tune in. The Steagle Network is live, baby. You gotta love it.
The Steagle Network, huh? Well, it could be for the next 3 hours or so. Milt going for a little CFL history tonight on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Hi, everybody. Dave Raynor, Jock Climbing, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz, and I'm certain you know the story by now. The next touchdown of Milt Steagle's career will be the 138th that he has scored, and that will put him alone atop the CFL record books, ahead of George Reed, ahead of Mike Pringle, and he'll be able to just focus on playing football rather than just chasing this record. His wife, Darlene, is there. His young son, Chase. Could be a special moment. But you want to talk about the guy who leads the league in receiving, his new teammate.
Yeah, Terrence Edwards, who's actually helping Milt a lot because of what he's doing on the other side of the football. But, you know, it's an interesting story about how Terrence got to Winnipeg. You know, this was a talent out of Montreal, and Jim, actually, it was typical Jim Pop in terms of how it happened. It was a complicated series of events leading up to the fact that he was now a free agent. And what does Jim Pop do? Jim Pop says, you know what, I'm going to sit here and wait for him to call me. And Terrence is at home thinking, well, I'm waiting for Jim Pop to call me. Well, Coach Barry is the only guy who called him. And that's just Jim Pop and his style, thinking he wants guys to show they want to come play for him. And look what he's missing out on. He's missing out on a real talent, 10 catches, 228 yards. This guy had 437 yards total in his career leading into this season. I have seen some incredible things from this guy already early in this season, man.
Yeah, Kevin Glenn is the beneficiary, obviously, and he's got some great people to work with. Plus, a defense, when they play up to their capabilities, can certainly get after it. But in week one, we did not see a defensive line or a Winnipeg defense that I thought I was going to see in 07. In fact, they were non-existent. They had one sack. Look at the time that Ricky Ray has. You can't do that with Ray. He will simply knife you. But then in week two, they got after Anthony Calvillo, as everybody has this year, and they simply forced the issue. 7 sacks, and they made his life miserable. Walt Doug Brown here not only beat one man, but 2 people, because he wants to get to the quarterback and get back on track. Well, they got another shot at the Edmonton Eskimos tonight, Schulte, a team that basically shut them down in week one. So revenge certainly could be sweet for them tonight.
Well, Matty, let me talk about week one, too, because I think it's critical for these Eskimos, and I think they can win this game if they recapture the rhythm that they had on offense in week one, because everything fell together. First phase is the protection. The second phase of the rhythm is the good set by the quarterback. The third phase is that accurate throw. The fourth phase, that nice catch. Again, the same rhythm happened collectively of all 12. Nice protection for Ray. Good set, good vision this time. Nice throw, nice catch. Again and again, Ray went 9 for 9 in the first quarter of that game. Excellent set with the right foot. Nice throw, good catch. It kept going in terms of rhythm. It was a collective rhythm. If they can get that back, I think they can win this game. Plus, these Bombers may not have their 2 starting cornerbacks available. I think that's a huge issue.
Yeah, that is a big one. Schultze.
Yes,
We got 6 hours of football ahead of us, buddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I know, always ready for
I like
that.
football.
Later tonight, we got BC at Saskatchewan in the game of the week. But here are the starting quarterbacks for this game, brought to you by Wendy's and their new Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. And there he is, Ricky Ray. Only a 75% completion percentage. Kevin Glenn, not bad either. Here is the Boston Pizza CFL poll question we're going to ask you prior to this game. What has been the biggest story so far in the season? Milt's TD record chase is amongst them. Log on at tsn.ca. Results, as always, at the half.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Wendy's new Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. Wendy's, that's right. By Rona, the Canadian how-to people. And by Rogers, proud partner of the CFL.
Trainee guy, I'm out of burgers. Can you give me some more?
Yeah, sure.
I love you, dear Ophelia.
I'm just looking for some burger patties.
Pray tell trainee names. Burgers in the freezer.
Freezing burgers is just wrong. That's why at Wendy's, ours are made of fresh, never frozen beef.
That's right.
In partnership with the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic teams, Rona has built the Growing with Our Athletes program to provide financial assistance to 100 athletes so they can realize their full potential. When you buy one of these special edition products, Rona contributes $1.50 to the program, so you too can be part of the dream.
Thinking of getting one of those.
The truth? I just got this today.
Seriously?
Yeah, Rogers had me set up and running in minutes. It was easy.
Minutes?
Rogers Wireless Email, helping small business get more out of their time.
I'm thinking about getting one of those. So was I.
Jack Frame of Medicine Hats. You could win a 50-inch Prima Plasma TV if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game, thanks to Safeway's Touchdown and Win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you win $1 million. To Winnipeg, here are Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Dave. Tonight's game available on TSN HD. TSN, Canada's sports leader in high definition. Well, it's Friday the 13th. In Winnipeg, will it be unlucky or historic? We'll find out as the Bombers take on the Eskimos. A blustery early evening in the Manitoba capital. The wind out of the north, it gusts to 54 k an hour, which will make it a test for the offenses and the kickers. Well, for the Eskimos, Danny Machocha's green and gold are looking for their first win of 2007. And the Bombers, of course, looking for an historic night for Milt Stegall. There's Coach Machocha, whose Eskimos have not won. Well, they've won one game here, Glenn, since 2000, so it's been a tough building to play in for them. Canadian Stadium. Doug Barry's Bombers unbeaten after 2 weeks. He likes the offensive production. He thinks his defense and special teams are getting better.
He has the leading receiver, the leading passer, and the leading running back after 2 weeks in the Canadian Football League. He wants to keep that going.
Sean Fleming kicks into the wind, and it will be Albert Johnson from his 24. Johnson straight ahead, across midfield. Albert Johnson to the Eskimo 48 to supercharge this capacity crowd.
Last week, a sellout capacity crowd again tonight. Here for a couple of reasons. One, to see a team they're pretty proud of after 2 weeks, and a team they want to see stay on a roll, and a great start for Albert Johnson. And two, of course, to see Milt Stegall try and break that record. And already, it looks like Winnipeg getting down in that scoring area.
Yes, what an air of anticipation here. Of course, Milt tied the record 2 weeks ago in the final minute against these Edmonton Eskimos. 32-yard kick return. Kevin Glenn, the leading passer, and the CFL goes to work, and a flag is tossed, intended for Terrence Edwards, who leads the Canadian Football League in yards receiving, and Jonte Buell in the collision is down and hasn't gotten up.
He got all tangled up with Terrence Edwards. I mentioned the leading receiver in the CFL after 2 weeks. That was Terrence Edwards, 228, 1 touchdown coming in. Heard Jock Climby talk about how he has helped Milt Stegall this season. He's coming in from the right of your screen. They get all tangled up, and down they both go. Like it was almost incidental contact.
Now, Glenn, the Eskimos plan to deploy Shannon Garrett at linebacker tonight.
Winnipeg, number 68, declined. Second out.
Holding call against Andrew Green has declined, but with Buell out, you'll likely see Garrett now have to drop back into the secondary again.
They were going to dress both Ray Perryman and Shannon Garrett and have Shannon Garrett play down in the linebacking core with Jonte Buell back. So now Mr. Versatility for the Edmonton Eskimos, who is in his 3rd position in 3 games, started at corner, played last week at free safety, and this week was going to move to the linebacking core, may have to slide back to the secondary, and Perryman's in for a longer night than he expected.
Yeah, Shannon Garrett mentioned he's okay with those 3 changes, but he says he draws the line at putting him on the defensive line. But here's a veteran defensive halfback, 13 years in the league, a former Bomber, and now he may end up getting the matchup with Stegall because Jonte Buell's been shaken up and heading to the Eskimo bench.
Milt Stegall in his 13th season in Canadian football will be running against a 13-year vet in Shannon Garrett. Milt Stegall, it all started this journey back in 1995 for Stegall. That's when he scored his first touchdown. And 12 games and 2 and a bit later, and we're looking for 138.
What are the odds on him doing it tonight? Well, in his last 10 games against the Eskimos, he has scored 11 touchdowns. 2nd and 10 from the Eskimo 49. And a pass over the head of O'Neal Wilson. And it's a 2 and out for the Bombers.
Such a quick decision by Kevin Glenn and quick release. And that's something that Doug Barry talked about yesterday. How quick release and how Kevin Glenn has really become comfortable with the offense to a point where he's no longer learning the offense. He's now suggesting. And that's a quote right from Doug Barry. And that's a good stat for Kevin Glenn. That decision was so quick. The ball out of there so fast. O'Neal Wilson didn't have a chance to get a beat on it.
Again, with this wind, it's going to be tough throwing with or against the wind. Rob Pakula will handle the punting duties this week, but Troy Westwood will handle the kicks. And that ball was partially blocked and bounces down to the 20. Tony Tompkins fields it. A no yards call will be made, and the Eskimos will come out with better field position than they would have expected.
Yeah, and it's not considered a block punt if the ball passes the line of scrimmage after contact is made. Kula will be doing the punting tonight. Troy Westwood in the lineup for field goals, and that one does cross the line of scrimmage, obviously, and then no yards called against Winnipeg.
No yards. Winnipeg, number 21, 5-yard penalty. First down.
And interestingly enough, that was Calvin McCarty who was actually victimized last week when Baron Miles burst through to block an Eskimo punt. And McCarty atones very quickly.
Well, maybe he watched the film and said, hey, Baron Miles did that. Maybe I got something there.
And the Eskimos working into the wind in the first quarter with Ricky Ray at the controls, looking for Trevor Gaylor. And it's incomplete. Gaylor out of bounds. Gaylor, a Miami of Ohio graduate, who actually broke Milt Stegall's records in college. Let's set this Eskimo offense.
Ricky Ray will have Ron McClendon behind him. His first start of the 2007 season. Bit of a surprise in that Tyler Ebell started out the season so well. Tucker's playing a little hurt at that slot back position, but said just before game time he was good to go. One change in the O-line. You're going to see Raleigh Roundtree in there for Kevin Luxford.
Starting lineup brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. It's 2nd and 10, and they get to Ricky Ray. And this has been a big early season story. The front four for Winnipeg. And they chalk up sack number 10 on the year.
And the 4th for Gavin Walls, who's going to start out at this side of your screen over here. He's just to the right of that arrow, and then he's going to loop in here and come right down the middle, right down Portage and Main on Ricky Ray. Look at it. Here comes number 98, and he's right in there. He gets there with Doug Brown. Both of them are going to share that one. You can see him come right around the corner here, and there goes Gavin Walls right down the hole. Little steps up in the field. Ron McClendon can't get to him, and he is right in the throwing lane with Doug Brown behind Ricky Ray.
Both Brown and Walls came into the game with 3 quarterback sacks each. They had 7 against Montreal last week. Sean Fleming will step back, try and kill a little of the clock here, and shorten this quarter against the Wind. They concede the safety, and the Bombers have an early lead.
Over 5 tons of towing capacity, 2,010 pounds of payload. In thinking ahead, we left nothing behind. Introducing the more comfortable, more powerful, more capable, all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, backed by the GM 160,000-kilometer 5-year powertrain warranty. That's professional grade.
Its time has come.
The revolution is here.
And here.
And here.
And here.
Introducing the Bowflex Revolution.
It defines the cutting edge of home fitness thanks to advanced Spiroflex technology.
Call now and you can have a revolution right in your own home.
The Spiroflex technology has resistance built right into these very lightweight plates. So you get the smoothness of plate-loaded machines without the heavy weights.
It's really smooth. It almost glides.
It just feels good. I love it.
With over 100 gym quality exercises, the Bowflex Revolution offers unsurpassed versatility.
Call now and you can radically improve the way you train.
Work out 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, and you'll get results in as little as 6 weeks guaranteed.
Call or visit our website now for your free information kit.
And join the revolution.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, GMC Professional Grade, and by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Friday the 13th, and it's already a horror show weather-wise. Sky just opened up as we went to commercial. Heavy rain, high winds.
Safe to say weather will become a factor in a hurry.
Batten down the hatches.
They're lugging it here in the peg.
Sean Fleming out of the hold. Sends it downfield, and this ball's on the turf, and the Eskimos come up with it. Fred Reed let it hit the turf, and Sadiq Shabazz comes up with the ball for the Eskimos.
Just like that, the weather plays a part in the first turnover of the game. That ball hung up there on the kickoff and not fielded by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Edmonton right on it. That ball is a live football once it crosses that 10-yard mark on a kickoff.
So an early break for the Eskimos, and they will scrimmage at the Winnipeg 38. Play action, and they'll swing it out to now Peterson. Can't hold on to the slippery pigskin.
Defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 1 sack already up front. They had 9 after 2 weeks. Now 10 with Gavin Walls, Tom Canada off the edge. Doug Brown has 3, and there's your linebacking core. Barron Simpson leads the Canadian Football League after a couple weeks in tackles with 15. Lots of changes in the secondary. Gabriel Fulbright is in for Robert Bean, and Ian Logan will play the wide side corner. He played safety last week.
Anthony Malbrough also out, so both starting corners not in the lineup for Winnipeg. 2nd and 10 underneath the Trevor Gaylor. dropped the ball, and it's ruled incomplete.
It's going to be very difficult for offenses and receivers, not only because the ball is going to get wet in a hurry, but also because with that wind, it's hard. It's like trying to catch a curveball coming at you, because the wind is going to move that football, even on the short throws. And it looks like both times now receivers have had problems. Now, it's almost borderline close to a fumble.
One official actually looked like he wanted to spot it as a catch, and another, the side judge, ruled incomplete. And this is, in this weather, compounds the problems for Sean Fleming. And they felt that 42 yards would be the max field goal attempt into the wind. This would have been for 45, so Fleming instead will punt. There is an onside man, and Fleming looks for the corner. And that ball will skip out of bounds. Perryman, the onside man, unable to catch up with it.
I think we should promote the new cold certified cans. When the beer reaches the perfect cold temperature, the mountain changes color. I think we should talk about the summer cooler ideas.
Just thinking out loud here, but what if you two wrestled over it?
We have a winner. When the cold certified can changes color, your beer is certified cold. Go to CoorsLight.ca if you'd like to see how this got decided.
Once a season, and only once a season, Moores has a sale. Right now, over half our suits and sport coats are on sale at great low prices. You'll find a huge selection of dress shirts and hundreds of casual and dress pants. Plus, big savings on sportswear and shoes. Which means the only way to beat a Moores price is at the Moores Summer Sale. Moores, well-made, well-priced, well-dressed.
Sport Check, the power of sport.
Tough night for a kicker to reclaim his job with more. Let's join Sean Churchill.
Thank you very much, Chris. Well, it has been a grueling 2 weeks for Troy Westwood. Benched last week after going 1 for 4 in the opening game. But he won his job back in practice, simply out-kicking Rob Pakula. But he feels a little on edge. This is like a playoff game for him. He doesn't feel safe. He feels that he has to be perfect in order to keep his job. Guys?
280th game of his career. The streak of 279 consecutive snapped last week. On the ground, Charles Roberts kicks it outside. And the leading rusher in the CFL up to the 21-yard line. And he has 6 and so many weapons in this Winnipeg offense.
There's your league leader after 2 weeks, Charles Roberts, who bounced that one outside. He had 184 yards, a 4.8-yard average coming in. He's the lone back behind Kevin Glenn. Derek Armstrong out of the lineup in the receiving court. Kerry Johnson will play for him at the wideout position. And there's your offensive line. Dominic Picard playing well at center over 2 weeks.
Give Roberts 7, 2nd and 3. And a 6-receiver package for Kevin Glenn. There's Milt Stegall. And Milt Stegall with his 12th catch. And Dan Kepley maybe needed out there on defense to stop him from scoring the touchdown.
All of a sudden, the sun has come out again here in Winnipeg, and it does just as Milt Stegall catches his first pass of the football game. He's the inside receiver on a little crossing route. He just hesitates, a little dead leg move all the way across the middle on Stanford Samuels, who has to chase him a long way to get him out of bounds.
17 for Milt, who had 7 catches, 126 yards in the opening game against Edmonton. Roberts ducks underneath, upended by William Loftus with the pair of penalty markers down, and the preliminary signal holding against Winnipeg.
It'd be big Andrew Green at the point of attack. Looked like Antico Dalton that stepped in, and Andrew Green tried to tackle him. Edmonton Eskimos on defense. Not off to a great start. Ranked 8th in the league versus the pass after a couple of weeks, and 7th versus the run.
Holding, Winnipeg, number 68, 10-yard penalty, first down repeater.
Well, they did feel they were much better last week in BC than in the opening night.
Yeah, played very well. A bit misleading last week in the loss to the BC Lions. Their offense really struggled with penalties and turnovers, but the defense did step it up.
So it's 1st and 20 with the sun out, and Stiegel's got another catch up to the 36-yard line, and Milt has close to 8.
Well, it's a defense that after a couple of weeks had just a couple of sacks in Edmonton, and up front they know they're better than that. It's a nice lineup when you look at their defensive line that will start Adam Braidwood, Ron Warner, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, of course Rob Brown and Raheem Abdullah. Then you go into the linebacking core. Sounds like A.J. Gass, the middle linebacker and veteran, is about a week away. Shannon Garrett was set to start up there. Now Buell's out of the lineup and he has to move back a little bit, but there's your secondary.
2nd and 12. And Kevin Glenn looks for O'Neal Wilson, and this ball is picked off on a terrific play by Jason Goss.
That's what we're talking about, the Edmonton defense. Just one interception after 2 games for that defense, and it takes time to get a secondary to start playing together. They have some veterans. They picked up Omar Morgan. They picked up Jason Goss, who does a nice job here of sticking with the football, staying focused after the initial contact and coming down with it.
So the former Hamilton Tiger Cat comes up with the ball. And once again, the Eskimos will scrimmage on Winnipeg's side of half. At the 39, Ron McClendon for Tyler Ebel gets 5. Ebel dropped from the lineup despite leading the Canadian Football League after 2 weeks in yards from scrimmage.
Well, you know, really played real well in the first 2 games. I mean, he was the leading rusher in game 1, the leading receiver for Edmonton in game 2 versus BC. So, but Ron McClendon apparently had the slight edge coming out of camp, then hurt his hamstring, and Danny Machochi just felt he deserved a chance as well.
2nd and 7. Short drop Ray. Wide open Peterson has the catch close to the first down stick.
And you could see after Kamal Peterson on his first attempt in that last series dropped the ball, that time how he secured it and made sure it was right in that stomach. He focused, didn't try to run with the football at all, just wanted to make the catch, and this one's going to be close.
Did not get a great spot, and looks like he has come up about a yard short.
The Eskimos versus the BC Lions on offense had 6 holding calls offensively that really ended drives for them, and Ricky Ray threw 3 interceptions, very uncharacteristic of him, and got into some tough situations. They definitely want to play better in the red zone, and that's where they're approaching right now.
The Eskimos talked about going into the wind, trying to shorten the quarter, chewing up as much of the clock as possible. Stephen Giles comes in on 3rd and less than a yard for presumably the quarterback sneak. And he'll follow the left side and move the chains behind the Eskimos' top Canadian last year, Dan Comiskey.
Well, we mentioned that starting lineup was supposed to be Shannon Garrett on defense on the linebacking core. There is Jonte Buell, injured on the first play of the game when he got all tied up with Terrence Edwards heading to the locker room. So for now, at least, it looks like they'll move Shannon Garrett back to the safety. Ray Perryman will play on defense and the linebacking core.
Looked like a wrist, and unfortunately we saw Michael Bishop
too bad, yeah,
get hurt last night after a brilliant performance, and
he really looked good and then hurt his wrist.
Broken wrist, undergoing surgery today. First down, Eskimos. There's TJ Acree with the catch and a first down, working against Canadian Ian Logan on the corner.
And you wonder how much the Edmonton Eskimos will try and go after Logan, who's out here in the corner, and you can see the amount of room right here that he is giving TJ Acree. That's a lot of cushion, it's called, between defensive back and receiver. So what does Acree do? Just a quick turnout. Ricky Ray hits him in stride.
Acree, of course, big opening game in that 39-all draw. 9 catches, 123 yards. First down, Edmonton. Ricky Ray looking on that corner route with Jason Tucker incomplete. Jason Tucker, the first man to hit the field today, testing out the sore leg, and about 2 hours before game time, he gave Danny Machocha the thumbs up and said he was good to go, but they did have print stamps here in case he wasn't able to play.
Well, especially with all the changes in the Bomber secondary, you definitely, if you're Danny Machocha, want a guy like Jason Tucker in the lineup and try and get a matchup. Maybe Jason Tucker on Ian Logan, the safety that's got to move to the wide side corner.
Second-year man out of Laurier, 2nd and 10. Eskimos, Ray looking for Painter, looking for Acree. Touchdown, Edmonton. And now they're waving it off. Well, we'll get a video look at this, I'm sure. And the question is, did he survive contact with the ground?
Once the receiver leaves his feet, and we've seen plenty of examples of it all year long, he has got to survive the impact with the ground, and the defenders the entire time can be pushing and grabbing at the football. He has it and has left his feet. Now he's got to survive that contact when he hits. And it looks like that ball might have been rolling around.
Yep. No challenge flag yet, as I'm sure the Eskimo spotters are taking a good long look, and now the flag has been thrown, and we will, as expected, go to video review.
Well, this is one that Danny Machocha absolutely has to go and take a look at. I mean, a perfect throw from Ricky Ray, but the receiver has got to survive impact with the ground. Now, this might be the best look you get. Is it coming out? He's got to catch it here, maintain possession, and turn around, wait, and turn around and show that he still has possession of the ball. And it doesn't right there as it flies out of there. That's where he has to still maintain possession.
Even though he's already on the way up again?
Yeah, he's got to survive that impact with the ground. Surviving meaning show the official possession. When the official saw the ball, it was flying out of his hands.
So now we are having a conference on whether or not, and Lazarus just telling him he can't challenge it, but he doesn't believe he survived contact.
Absolutely reviewable play.
And Danny is talking about the fact that Acree did roll, and I'm wondering if the Eskimo argument is, well, he survived the contact and then rolled, and then it came out.
Officials have to see, the officials have got to see possession.
It doesn't come out till there, and again, and if I'm Danny Machocha, I at least want him under the hood.
Well, absolutely. You know what? It's a reviewable play, and Danny Machocha, the officials will go and talk to him. And he's going to make sure he goes and takes a look. And I would do the same. You have to in this case. It's a touchdown throw, ruled incomplete. Now they're going to have enough evidence to change the call in Danny Machocha's favor. I'm not sure that they will, but that's up to Ken Lazarus. Here comes it one more time from one more different angle. It looks like he has the football there. He looks like he has it under his arm. And then as he rolls over, then it comes out. You know, that's going to be close. That angle there showed a different story, didn't it?
Looked like Shizuki Yanagetya was the man who seemed to pull it out of Acree's hands after the roll in the end zone.
One more time.
That's a really tough video call for Ken Lazarus.
You know what? From all the angles except this one, it looked like it was flying out and that the officials would not have seen that he had possession. But it looks like he has possession there because his arm is underneath the football, so it was his arm that would have been touching the turf, not the ball. He has possession. Now he rolls over, and then the ball comes up. Boy, from that angle, it looks like a catch.
And it's curious that they didn't even initially want to go and review it. And we saw last week hesitation about a couple of video challenges in Regina.
Now, I will say this, based on the history of replay over the last year and a few games, they have ruled that type of play as an incomplete pass, that he has to maintain contact and show that he has possession of the football to the officials after all the rolling and hitting of the ground is over. But that one angle, although it was slowed right down, looked like he had the catch. This is going to be a tough one.
It really is, and you know that there are about 50% of viewers saying that's a touchdown, and another 50% saying no chance. What does Ken Lazaruk say?
Upon review, there is no substantial visual evidence to show that the ball was caught.
Yeah.
It'll be incomplete pass, third down.
That's the way they've ruled it since instant replay was implemented a year ago. But a good decision by Danny Machocha to go ahead and try and challenge, and it was that close. I mean, this angle, now the question is, like, if that is possession, then that should be a touchdown catch. But they have called it that way over the last year and early in this season.
So the Eskimos have to settle for a field goal attempt by Sean Fleming, who puts it through, but there is a flag down. And did they get the play off in time?
The other thing, Chris, that really needs to be mentioned here is that in conversations with George Black, the head of officiating, he has said that the officials, when they go under the hood, have to be very careful about using slow motion. That surviving the impact with the turf.
Edmonton, number 11, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Surviving impact with the turf has to happen immediately. You have to turn around, show that you still have the football. And we really slowed it down and showed you kind of underneath angle. And I'm sure that was part of the reason that they didn't overturn that one.
I really think the jury would be split among football people on that last call. But Ken Lazaruk has the last say, and Sean Fleming this time misses. And Albert Johnson concedes a single. They thought they had a touchdown. They thought they had a field goal. They have to settle for one.
Are you ready? Safeway $1 Million Touchdown to Win is back. Swipe your Safeway Club card, and you could win $1 million or other great prizes, including a Hitachi cordless hammer drill, compact, lightweight, and powerful. The kit includes rechargeable batteries and charger, driver bit, and carrying case. Or a men's Bulova Marine Star watch with black enamel dial, stainless steel case, and bracelet. Water resistant to 200 meters. Get in the game at Safeway.
We knew the 2007 Motor Trend Truck of the Year would be a tough act to follow. So we took the lead instead. Introducing the most powerful heavy-duty on the planet, the next generation Silverado HD.
This is our country. It comes with everything. Stereo cassette, 2D navigational system, automatic anti-theft device. But high-mileage cars can also come with engine wear, because they burn oil faster. So get Castrol GTX high mileage for superior oil burn-off protection. In lab tests of 10W30, 17% better than leading conventional oils.
Hey.
Castrol GTX high mileage. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
Well, a huge night for Wendy's Friday Night Football. The battle of the unbeatens in Week 3. The BC Lions taking on those red-hot Saskatchewan Roughriders that come up next following this game. And like this game, sellout crowd anticipated at Mosaic Stadium.
Danny Machocha spent that entire break talking to the officials about that touchdown.
Kevin Glenn goes to work. Glenn under pressure steps up and has to leg it out to the 40-yard line. Adam Braidwood, Ray Perryman bring him down.
I think Kevin Glenn wanted to go to Milt Stiegel on the play, and he's up against that veteran. This matchup, due to injury and a little bit of holding by the 13-year veteran Shannon Garrett that he gets away with, grabs that jersey, pulls the shirt right over his outside shoulder pad. No call, no foul, is what you'll see from the defensive secondary.
Well, last week he was working against Randy Drew, who was playing his second CFL game, and said that Drew did a pretty good job for a rookie. Now he's up against a 13-year vet. 2nd and 10, that ball tipped. Falls incomplete. Closest bomber to it was Jamie Stoddard. And the Bombers out of the gate slowly in this first quarter.
Yeah, and Milt Stiegel is now talking to the officials. He's over there saying, okay, one time I'm not going to make a big deal about it. It was Shannon Garrett. He got away with a little tug. He just about got tackled on the last play. And Perryman just about pulled him to the ground. He grabbed him so bad. And this time he did go to the official and just mentioned something on it. Stiegel right in the middle there. Watch him. He goes inside, and number 24, Perryman, look at him, just almost pull him to the ground. And that takes away the #1 target.
Here's Pakula, pressure on, and he just got it away. Stanford Samuels, the former Bomber, with a huge rush on the Winnipeg punter.
Here later, tackle Hunger. Great defensive play, and the weight of a CFL quarterback equals food on the table for thousands of families in need. Here later, official courier of the CFL, tackling Hunger across Canada.
Once a season, and only once a season, Moores has a sale. Save on a huge selection of suits and sport coats, dress shirts, shoes, and sportswear. So the only way to beat a Moores price is at the Moores Summer Sale. Moores, well made, well priced, well dressed.
Well, now Ken Lazarick giving Ricky Ray the options. A very late flag on that punt of Pakula's that landed near the sideline, and now the officials rule it landed out.
Illegal punt out of bounds, 10-yard penalty, 3rd down repeated.
Well, with this win, this is going to be an issue for punters, because with the new rule in the CFL this year, if you punt the ball out of bounds in the air between the 20-yard lines, you're penalized, and the return team has the option to make you kick again. That's the option that the Edmonton Eskimos will take right here, because that was a pretty good punt that would have put Edmonton in deep field position in their own end. Now they get a new shot at it.
10 yards back. See if the Eskimos get a big rush again. Pakula gets it away, and it's a beauty. Tompkins driven back to his 24. And cut down at the 30 with a late flag. That's a 56-yard Pakula punt. And an injured Winnipeg Blue Bomber. That's Adrian Baird, I believe. Or check that, that's 50. Chris Petkovic, the long snapper, who was first down and cut down on the play.
No infraction on the play. The Bomber defender was blocked, pushed into the 5-yard restraining zone. No infraction.
Lots of pressure on these punting situations. Edmonton coming with pressure, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have had a couple of opportunities here, very close to getting punts blocked. That time, Stanford Samuels right up over the top.
And he's pumped up, the former Bomber, who didn't like the offer he got from Brendan Taman, and ended up signing as a free agent with the Eskimos. We'll take a timeout.
That's how you want it, baby. I don't want you around. Better believe it, and not for a minute. You better guys, they feel around. Make it all around, baby. That's the way you are, baby.
Well, we won't diagnose this injury to Chris Petkovic, but we mentioned Michael Bishop last night, and we have had it confirmed that Jonte Beulah suffered a broken right wrist, and he has been taken to hospital here in Winnipeg.
Well, that looks like right arm anyway.
Under 5 minutes to go, opening quarter. Nice fake by Ray, And here's Peterson turning it upfield. And brought down at the Edmonton 49-yard line by Kyra Seber, the Winnipeg safety.
A little play action from Ricky Ray to try and bring the linebackers and maybe catch the eye of one of the guys in the secondary for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that you've got to believe that have playing all tight in the first game. When you talk about Gabriel Fulbright and Ian Logan out on the outside, and if that play action can just draw the attention for a second, you can get an open receiver.
19 yards for Peterson. Eskimos scored 15 in the first quarter of their opening meeting with Winnipeg. Ricky Ray wanted to load it up. Now he's got to scramble. And Ray heading for the sidelines. He'll be tripped up at the midfield stripe. Cam Hall, the Sam linebacker and rookie in the Winnipeg defense, made the tackle.
Played straight man-to-man, the Bomber defense did there, and Ricky Ray couldn't find an open target. It's good news for the home crowd if that secondary that's really makeshift right now is able to cover man-to-man and allow Winnipeg to maybe put some more pressure on them. You got to think that Greg Marshall, the defensive coordinator, wants to play a little more vanilla coverage today, a little more zone defense. Protect some of those young guys back there.
2nd and 4. Ray over the middle. Nice catch there by T.J. Acree. And he has the first down. And we want to mention that because of a technical problem, we are unable to give you the virtual first down line tonight. We apologize for that. But we can tell you that T.J. Acree has just moved the chains.
You know, I had a conversation with Doug Brown in the middle of that defensive line before about the secondary and the changes that Winnipeg's had to go through with losing both corners, and he's explaining to me it puts more pressure on us. We like it and we don't mind it, but we're going to have to try and get pressure with just 4 guys, the 4 defensive linemen. Not too many blitzes here tonight.
First down, the wind has died down, and out of the backfield is Goldie McClendon. Well, the McClendon will be pulled down. Again, Cam Hall is there, along with Onyenagetcha.
It's very tough, though, if you're playing defensively and going to play like Doug Brown mentioned, 4-man pressure with zone defense against Ricky Ray. Boy, Ricky Ray's a guy that can really pick you apart. He'll just take whatever you give you. He'll dump the ball off like he did there to Ron McClendon, and he'll put himself in 2nd and medium. That's 2nd and 5 or less.
Second and 5. Ray stands in, and Onyenagetcha knocked it away from Jason Tucker. There are penalty markers on the play.
Onyenagetcha gets in the lineup because of the injuries. It's a good thing he's like 210. He needed a big jersey to get that name on the back.
To the face, number 63 Edmonton, declined. 3rd down.
And he's been busy, so we better get used to saying his name. Joki Onyenagetcha.
Joki Onyenagetcha, I hope, gets a nickname soon. If he doesn't mind. And
Getcha has a ring to it.
It does. But a couple of plays on the teams, and pretty nice coverage right there in a key 2nd down situation for Winnipeg.
So the holding call declined, and Sean Fleming comes on to punt again. An onside man and the little pooch kick, and Ray Perryman scrambling after it, and Perryman has it. They'll throw the no yards flags, but clearly Perryman was onside. I think it was Winnipeg who tried a similar play out of a field goal formation last year in Edmonton, nearly made it work, and Danny Machocha giving Doug Barry a taste of his own medicine here.
Yeah, usually in a play like that, the punter will try and there's Scott Squires, the special teams coach for the Edmonton Eskimos, and usually what will happen is the punter will try, and Fleming here, well, there's the onside Perryman up at the top of your screen. As long as he's behind the punter, he is onside. But usually they'll kick it high and let the wind sort of hold it up there.
In the play. Edmonton number 24 was an onside player. He can legally recover the ball. First down, Edmonton.
And they will get the football here, and a nice call. And you love when the special teams guys, you know, they draw that up all week. They practice it, and it doesn't work. That time it worked perfectly for Scott Squires. They did it on the first punt, and Perryman almost had it. Went right back to it, and this time they got it.
Now the first one rolled out of bounds, just out of Perryman's reach. So they have recovered a kickoff and a punt in this opening quarter, but still trail 2-1. Ricky Ray underneath. McClendon makes the first man miss and is brought down at the 5.
Corey Jenkins, the linebacker, was trying to close, and I believe the umpire almost worked as a pick. So McClendon is going to come out of the backfield and just hook up and be the release valve here for Ricky Ray. Number 45 to the left of your screen. He's going to disappear in the zone. Then he breaks up. Look, he had to go around the umpire. That gave McClendon an extra second. He picks up pretty good yards.
17 for McClendon out of the backfield, and it's first and goal from the 5. Short drop, Ray into the end zone. Acree's got it, and he holds on.
And he's still holding on.
So T.J. Acree has his first Edmonton Eskimo touchdown.
Complimentary routes for Ricky Ray. He's going to have McClendon go out this way to try and open up the middle for Acree. He waits, he lets McClendon clear out, and then he gets Acree over the middle with no linebacker to help out.
Get it rolling now.
In fact, T.J. Acree's first CFL touchdown as the Edmonton Eskimos take the lead.
Your body gets much closer from before the clock's alarm by the seduction. I wish that it would stop. Tempted by the fruit of another. Tempted, but the truth is discovered. What's been going on now that you have gone?
Thought he had one earlier. He definitely has a touchdown now. T.J. Acree.
He's all right that I let it go now. I don't want to lose that touchdown.
He still has not let go. He's got possession. Couple of decoys here, right? Tucker across that way, McClendon across that way. Reason those are the decoys is because it opens up the middle here, and that's where T.J. Acree is going to get to. Here comes Tucker underneath. McClendon to the sideline, opens up a hole for Ricky Ray to deliver the football, and T.J. Acree held it from there to the bench. Has he let go of it yet? You know, he still has it. There, now he is handing it over the ball. He has got possession.
But okay. Oh, because we're at the road, huh?
Dozen seconds remaining in this opening quarter. The Eskimos have the lead, and they've also chewed up a lot of the clock, working against the wind, albeit that wind not as much of a factor now as it was at the opening kickoff of this game. Robert Johnson started the night with a big kickoff. He's wrestled down there by former Winnipeg Blue Bomber Stevie Baggs.
No question, the team's been the nemesis for the home team here, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You mentioned the kickoff recovered by Edmonton, the punts, the onside kick recovered by Perryman, and really the teams have been the problem. There are 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams, and right now, special teams, big advantage for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Career high 416-yard passing for Kevin Glenn in his first start of the year against Edmonton, as the Bombers rolled up 604 yards of offense on the Commonwealth Stadium turf. And Charles Roberts has dropped the ball, and the Eskimos have it. And the Bombers completely out of sync now on offense. And Shabazz has his second recovery of the first quarter. On the final play of the opening quarter in Winnipeg.
Over 5 tons of towing capacity. 2,010 pounds of payload. In thinking ahead, we left nothing behind. Introducing the more comfortable, more powerful, more capable, all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, backed by the GM 160,000-kilometer 5-year powertrain warranty. That's professional grade.
The obsessing over celebrity. That's wrong. Unless that celebrity is bacon. Introducing the Baconator from Wendy's. 6 strips of bacon piled high atop 2 fresh, never frozen beef patties. Bacon! Obsess a little. Wendy's. That's right.
What the flight 239? What are you doing? That's the Dirty Bird and Laser Hawk. We're just dreaming. We're fighter pilots.
Roger, just had Coke Zero. Real Coca-Cola tastes 0 calories.
Yep. Gotta be dreaming. Negative, moron. This is not a dream. You're flying a cargo jet. We can't live like this.
First quarter stats are brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with just 2 first downs. They came into the game with the leading receiver, the leading running back, and the leading passer in the Canadian Football League. But just 2 first downs because every time it looked like they were getting the ball back, something happened. They turned it over.
And so time of possession, a key stat there when you're going against the wind and you take almost 10 minutes of the clock.
Without question, the special teams play of the Edmonton Eskimos, they have all the momentum right now, and that lead and that touchdown. Now it's up to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to try and find an answer.
And for the 3rd time already in the game, the Eskimos will start on the Blue Bombers side of half.
This gets very frustrating for a defense that's playing pretty well, but has had to come out in the field in their own end a whole bunch.
So back to work. Go Ricky Ray in the offense. The big pitch to McClendon. And underneath it goes Andrew Nowacki. Has a catch down to the 23.
You know, when you think of the sudden change opportunities that the Edmonton Eskimos have had, they get the 1 major. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers defensively have had to come out. It's called sudden change when you turn the ball over and your defense has to come out in a hurry. It's very important for them to try and get the stop there because they can stop the momentum immediately. And that last touchdown now, and Greg Marshall's unit has to be getting a little frustrated.
And the Eskimos got to be concerned because Dan Comiskey, their all-star left guard, has gone down. They lost Kevin Lefsrud last week, concussion. He's not with the team here in Winnipeg. You mentioned Raleigh Roundtree replacing him. Let's take a look at what happens to number 67, Dan Comiskey, the left guard.
There he is, 67. He's engaged there.
Working against Jerome Haywood.
Gets spun around. Boy, it was tough to see. It didn't look like he got twisted in the pocket or anything.
So for the 2nd straight game, Rhett McLean comes off the bench to replace an injured offensive lineman. And there's a fumble, and Ray has to pounce back on it. Bad exchange between Ray and McClendon, who had it bounce off his hip.
Most of the time, the responsibility lays on the shoulders of the quarterback in a play like this to make sure that the tailback gets the football. But on plays like this, in fairness to Ricky Ray, they have the option oftentimes to pull it out of there if they see an open corner. And with the commitment off the edge by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I'm not so sure that Ricky Ray was undecided.
2nd and 10. Comes a blitz, and Jason Tucker with the catch and a 1st down, bounced out by David Bush, but not before Tucker gets a fresh set of downs for the Eskimos.
Well, that was the other bit of bad news for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in their secondary, in that David Bush, who is going to be moved from halfback out to the corner because of all the changes. He's going to end up at the right of your screen here. Tucker has lots of room underneath, but David Bush is playing on a bad ankle. He's well taped and not 100%, so lots of changes, 2 corners out, and David Bush playing injured.
Gavin Walls also on the bench for Winnipeg. A ball over the middle intended for Trevor Gaylord, incomplete. So there's been some changes in that Winnipeg defense. Not sure what the status of Gavin Walls, the top defensive player in the league last week, is, as he stands at the bench and gets some attention. Brian Gebert out of the University of Saskatchewan, a rookie who was a surprise in camp. Not many guys 5'9" make it as defensive ends in any pro league, but Gebert, they love his motor. 2nd and 10, Edmonton. Ray flush. Tom Canada in pursuit. And Ray will throw it away before Barron Simpson could track him down.
Coverage sack for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, or coverage that caused the quarterback Ricky Ray to throw it out of bounds. He's going to get chased down by the last guy, which is Barron Simpson, but nothing to the play side. He wants to go to the short side of the field, the right. Jason Tucker and Trevor Gaylor well covered there. Ron McClendon might have opened up late, but by then it was too little too late for Ricky Ray.
Ray under duress, and a field goal try for the Eskimos, which will come from 18 yards out. And Sean Fleming adds to the Edmonton lead, which is now 9 here in the second quarter.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. Oh, wait, can you hold on? Yeah, you're breaking up. Hello? Hello? Mrs. Peters?
Oh, good speaking to you. Yeah. Call me anytime. Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, I didn't...
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Welcome to Canadian Stadium. For the Blue Bombers, Milt Stegall, Kevin Glenn, and Wesley, a War Amps champ. Wesley lost his arm in an accident. Now he's the go-to guy for safety.
Whatever game you play safe.
A message from the Blue Bombers, the CFL, and the War Amps.
And the amazing thing is you can stay any hotel anywhere using your points. Last year we went to Trinidad and Tobago.
All on points.
My uncle was eaten by an alligator on a trip to Africa, but we used our points. So in the end, it wasn't a half bad trip. This year we're thinking about going
I remember one time I fell asleep in a tanning bed. Ugh, how embarrassing, huh?
I didn't do a tanning bed. Why are you asking that?
Why do you have goggle lines?
What did you just say to me?
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, GMC Professional Grade, and by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Just over 2 minutes into the second quarter. And the Bombers looking for a little traction on offense. And there's Terrence Edwards with his second catch, and he'll be tossed out at the 42-yard line. Well, is this going to be the night? Milt Stegall says he's not preoccupied with the record chase.
It's just not sitting in my head, you know. I won't sit up here and lie and say I don't want to break the record. I definitely, it would be an honor if and when it happens, but my main concern is all about winning games, and if that happens within the scheme, within the course of the game, you know, that would just be an ideal situation.
98 catches, 1,697 yards, and 14 touchdowns in his 21 starts against Edmonton. Charles Roberts on second down, and he's met by Perryman and Omar Morgan. Not before Roberts has a first down.
It'll be tough for Stegall to get that record, though, unless this offense can stay on the field a little bit longer. Up until those last two plays, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had just 9 plays offensively in the first quarter. Saw the time of possession when we saw the stats, so they have to maintain possession of the football and get a couple of drives going to give Milt Stegall a chance.
Last time they played the Eskimos, their final 9 plays of regulation time was a 9-play, 84-yard touchdown drive that tied the game with a final minute touchdown to Milt. And there he is, wide open, 45-yard line. Check that, not Stegall, but a catch by Terrence Edwards, who continues to be a huge factor in this Bomber offense.
You know, it works together. Milt Stiegel is going to be the crosser here, and he's going to clear out so that Edwards can open up in behind him. Complementary route. Stiegel's going to cross right across the field. You get Brazel going down, and then here comes Edwards. He just slides right into that hole.
Now we get into touchdown territory. 20-yarder by Edwards, and it's first down at the Edmonton 43. Charles Roberts on the draw, and William Loftus now at safety with the tackle. Well, I mentioned that final minute scoring drive. The record tire, number 137.
Game one of the regular season, a 39-39 tie, and that got it there in overtime. Dramatic fashion to tie the record for Milt Stiegel at 137. And so we wait.
2nd and 9. Glenn steps up, and that ball batted down. Kenny Anatolu knocks it down.
And almost like Kevin Glenn didn't see him, because he almost threw that right at him. You know that it was Milt Stiegel he was trying to get to. Anatolo had done a nice job of just flowing to the roll of Kevin Glenn. There's Stiegel trying to find that little open area, and it's Anatolo all the way across from the opposite side. That's a guy that Kevin Glenn didn't count.
So just past 5 minutes into the second quarter. And again, into the wind. Instead of a 49-yard field goal attempt, Kula. Nice snap. And again, Brian Ebert in, Svetkovic hurt. That ball will bounce out inside the 10. There is a penalty marker on the play.
I'm not sure what the flag is, but it can't be on the kick going out of bounds, because first of all, that was inside the 20, so you're allowed to coffin corner kick it in the air out of bounds, and certainly if it bounces anywhere on the field and goes out, that's also not a foul. So this has got to be something to do with the blocking.
So while they confer, Pakula had to field the high snap, and that was the first long snap of Brian Ebert's career, and he goes over to talk to him. But the backup long snapper has been pressed into duty here with the injury to Chris Svetkovic.
University of Saskatchewan product.
Are you ready? Safeway $1 Million Touchdown to Win is back. Get a bonus entry when you buy any participating products, including sponge towels, the only one with the sponge pocket technology. Get in the game at Safeway.
Your body gets much closer from before the clock's alarm by the seduction. I wish that it would stop. Tempted by the fruit of another. Tempted, but the truth is discovered. What's been going on now that you have gone?
What the 3239, what are you doing? This is a dirty bird and laser hawk. We're just dreaming we're fighter pilots.
Roger, just have Coke Zero, real Coca-Cola taste, 0 calories.
Yep, gotta be dreaming. Negative, moron. This is not a dream. You're flying a cargo jet. We can't live like this.
Hey, Edmonton. Last year, you raised over 37,000 pounds of food on Cheerleader Tackle Hunger Day. Roll up your sleeves and get involved so that we can beat that total on July 20th. Cheerleader, official courier of the CFL.
Well, tonight's games are available online at tsn.ca. This season, CFL on TSN, and Friday night football games will be available on demand at tsn.ca, along with CFL highlights, features, and analysis on TSN broadband. Well, the flag was picked up, and the Eskimos go to work on offense from inside their 10. Ron McClendon finds the going tough off the left side. Remember late October last year against Montreal when McClendon had a 198-yard rushing game against Montreal, and Winnipeg fans glad to see 98 back on defense for the Bombers.
Yeah, but you can tell by his facial expression that he's not right, and he's checking that arm out. Full marks to Gavin Walls for getting back in there, but clearly he's playing with one arm right now.
Second and 6. Front four with the push, but Ray stands in and throws. And does he have the catch? Yes, Jason Tucker, who was surrounded. And somehow Ricky Ray threads the needle.
No, how he came up with that catch, because Barron Simpson was right there, and I think it was Kyrie Bear also breaking from the safety position, but Ricky Ray absolutely threads the needle. That is confidence, and look at the hole he has. That's not a very big eyelet to get that ball through.
No, that window's not very wide open.
That's more of a porthole.
And now the quick hitter, Gaylord, jarred heavily. And Jerome Haywood with the tackle. Haywood with his second start in the 3 games. Nate Davis got the first crack at the Eskimos, but Doug Barry feels that Haywood might be right now a better complement to the other 3 members of the front four.
Well, they love his athletic ability and his agility for a big man. He's not tall at 5'9", but he's as wide as he is tall, but with great feet and can move laterally a little bit better than Nate Davis, who's a great bull rusher.
So 2nd and 7 after the 3-yard Gaylord pickup. Time for Ray, and back over the middle, and again through the porthole for a first down.
You know, Ricky Ray has had his best day as a pro against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That was back in '05 when he threw for 469. He's also had his worst, but if he can get on the same page with Jason Tucker, and it looks like he is here this evening, he's showing a lot of confidence in his receiver.
After 2 weeks, Tucker was the 17th leading receiver in the CFL. After 3 weeks, he'll be a lot higher, one would expect, as he makes the catch in front of Onyemaegetcha at the 46-yard line, close to 6 more.
And I'm not surprised that Ricky Ray is using this intermediate route type of thing. He knows that the Winnipeg secondary is going to back off a little bit till they feel comfortable. Clearly they don't yet, and Tucker's got a little room because of it.
Remember in week 1, he started 10 for 10, second down and 4, back over the middle, and that's a terrific catch. Kamau Completerson. He took a little heat here in Winnipeg about another form of the nickname.
I think he heard you say it, because you know, I loved what he said when he was criticized a little bit, and they went back to his days in Winnipeg where he had the dropsies. Ray's going into the hurry up here, but this is the one that he dives for, and some receivers might pass up on that one. He doesn't.
And the Eskimos like his physicality inside. Flag down before the play goes off, and somebody on that Eskimo line moved prematurely.
Well, you know, like, this is what his point was in the paper. Kamau Peterson said, you know, yes, I've had the dropsies. It didn't work out in Winnipeg.
Procedure, Edmonton, 56, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
He says, you know, it didn't work out in Winnipeg, and I understand that. So and he actually said, you know, whoever came up with Incompleterson, that's pretty good. You know, I have to give him respect for that. But he said, you know what, I will try for the circus catch, and I'm not going to stop trying for the circus catch.
Well, that was an impressive one. Now a 1st and 15. Kabongo called on the procedure, and that ball intended for Gaylor, broken up by Onyemaegetcha.
Kamau that time was challenged, and so was Gaylor over the middle. But there's his career numbers for Kamau Peterson, and he has made that big play. You know, throughout his career, he's looked upon as a guy who's made the circus catch, dropped the easy one, and Danny Machocha took all the pressure off him. Look, we have Jason Tucker. Don't worry about anything. You just go and contribute.
3 catches, 36 yards for the man traded by Winnipeg to Hamilton for Chris Brazel. Pressure on Ray, who scrambles away. And now downfield, incomplete. Peterson was being covered by the Sam linebacker, Cam Hall. And it brings up 3rd down.
Calm, cool Ricky Ray in the pocket to extend that play. I mean, this looks like he is sacked, but watch how he maintains his composure like he's done his entire career. Little step, little side step, working on his footwork. That's something that his quarterback coach, Rick Warman, a man who played the quarterback position himself, has worked a lot with Ricky Ray, just on the footwork, avoiding that rush, planting and throwing.
Foreman was on the Bombers staff that went to the Grey Cup game in 2001. Good kick here by Fleming, and Albert Johnson has to field it inside his 10. The cover team does the job. Exactly 5 minutes remaining, first half.
If you're practicing your pucker for Tim Hortons Lemon Baked Goods, perhaps you should be practicing your smile. Tim Hortons Lemon Baked Goods. Fresh lemon taste with none of the pucker.
Always fresh, always Tim Hortons.
The Hockey Hall of Fame, a cathedral for the icons, a shrine for the legends, a celebration of the game. Make the pilgrimage to the induction weekend celebrations this November and witness hockey history as the 2007 inductees are honored at the Source for Sports Hockey Hall of Fame Legends Classic, Sunday, November 11th, Air Canada Centre, Toronto. Visit hhof.com for ticket information and special offers. Join us to relive the players and the plays of a lifetime.
I changed my oil. Why worry about engine sludge?
You can't see sludge coming, but it can rob gas mileage and hold your car back.
Yeah, right.
Castrol GTX has an improved formula to stop sludge in its tracks.
Give me a burger, fries.
GTX's new dispersants neutralize sludge for superior protection among leading 5W and 10W30s.
And some extra napkins.
Castrol GTX. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engineering.
Tune in to TSN tomorrow night for the Rumble at Rama as the Canadian kid, Steve Molitor, will attempt to defend his IBF World Junior Featherweight title. Live coverage begins at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, and it's also available on TSN HD and TSN.ca. Kevin Glenn with only 51 yards passing so far in the first half. Here's Charles Roberts. And Roberts.
This should be a lot worse, and I know the home crowd does not want to hear this, but this should be a lot worse than it is for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when you consider the time of possession favors the Edmonton Eskimos by almost double. There was the 2 turnovers, the punt recovery, an onside kick by Edmonton, and the fumble by Charles Roberts deep in Winnipeg territory. It really probably should be 21-2 at this point. So Winnipeg's got to consider themselves lucky to be this close at this point in the game.
The Eskimos, last in points allowed, yards allowed coming in, have stiffened defensively. There's a great catch. O'Neill Wilson, Shannon Garrett pushed him out, but Wilson with a nifty catch in front of the Bomber bench.
It shows a couple of things to me. One, that boy, Kevin Glenn had to have confidence. That was pretty well covered downfield, and Glenn knew that he had the height advantage in O'Neill Wilson. And at the end of the play, I love how O'Neill Wilson stays calm and composed and doesn't put his hands up too early to give away that the ball is about to arrive. Waits till the last second and then stabs that football.
Acquisition from Montreal, who has also helped bolster a very impressive receiving corps. They swing it to Roberts, and this one opens up off the right side as he breaks a couple of tackles and carries an Eskimo defender down to the 51-yard line, and that energizes this big Winnipeg crowd.
Well, that's the kind of catch, the catch from O'Neill Wilson, that can really turn things around for you offensively. A well-covered play, your quarterback has a little confidence. O'Neill Wilson comes up with a catch, and then get Charles Roberts involved, and all of a sudden the Bombers have something rolling.
And this is what Doug Barry mentioned they hadn't done much yet, is swing that ball out to Roberts, who had just 4 catches coming in. He's averaged 50 over his last 5 years. So he's a dangerous weapon out of the backfield. Gonna look into Edwards. Garrett Edwards! And he was going a long way.
Was he ever?
Shabazz didn't get him at the ankle.
Well, Shabazz, I'm not sure he saved a touchdown, but he saved a big, big game with a shoestring tackle, because Terrence Edwards showing all kinds of courage to run right through the traffic area. He's going to catch this quick hitch pass, and then he goes right through where all them linebackers hang out, and that little shoestring, or else Terrence Edwards has the corner.
You know, last week was the third time in his short career that he and his brother Robert have scored touchdowns in the same game. First time in CFL history that brothers on opposing teams scored touchdowns in the same game. 3 catches today, and the 3-minute warning given to the benches.
I think we should promote the new cold certified cans. When the beer reaches the perfect cold temperature, the mountain changes color. I think we should talk about the summer cooler ideas.
Just thinking out loud here, but what if you two wrestled over it?
We have a winner. When the cold certified can changes color, your beer is certified cold. Go to CoorsLight.ca if you'd like to see how this got decided.
This is Scott. He can't stop pinching himself. Why? Because he just won access to tournaments with over $100 million in prize money. Now it's your turn to live the dream. Go to AbsolutePoker.net right now and enter a free qualifier for the Absolute Dream Package. You could be the next winner in this unbelievable poker prize package. You can stop pinching yourself now. The Absolute Dream... Ow! The Absolute Dream Package. Pinch yourself. This is for real.
I take risks on the field every game, but when it comes to my health, I don't take chances. Neither should you.
Take action. Visit CFL.ca/makingtheconnection to enter the Making the Connection CFL Challenge.
You could win a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be coached by a CFL player as you take steps towards improving your cardiovascular health.
One lucky winner will win a VIP trip to the 2007 Grey Cup in Toronto.
I'm taking control of my cholesterol. So should you. Coach's orders.
Under 3 minutes before Wendy's at the half. Will the dynamic foursome have a historic touchdown to talk about? Or will it be more about the Eskimos' terrific defense in the opening half? And I wonder what Chuck Clemmy thinks of that TJ Acree catch, no catch in the end zone.
Guarantee he's calling it a catch. Guarantee.
2nd and 3, 7th play of the drive, and Charles Roberts has a first down at the Eskimo 40.
Yeah, and I would agree with him that I think it probably was as well. But a long time ago, and right now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have their offense rolling. And if Milt Stegall does not score in this series, I'm going to start a new rule. It's kind of like the goalie shutout thing. Okay, no more hitter. Talking about it until he gets it. You almost wonder if we're starting to jinx him here.
So we'll pretend the elephant's not in the room.
Well, the elephant is not in the room.
1st and 10 at the Edmonton 40, and Kevin Glenn, that ball incomplete. Looking for Stegall.
J.R. LaRose was there, as was Ray Perryman. Looked like Milt Stegall was trying to get inside position, and Perryman was in a trail position, matched up on Stegall on the inside. He gets his hands on it first.
And LaRose almost makes a spectacular interception.
And the ground pops that out of there. Ground can cause an incompletion.
2nd and 10. Kevin Glenn has a completion. That's Edwards again. Oh, Kerry Johnson, the newcomer, who takes the spot of Derek Armstrong and has his first catch as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber.
I tell you one thing, I am really enjoying this evening. These two quarterbacks show confidence in their ability to find a small area and get that football in there, because we've seen Ricky Ray do it. That's Kevin Glenn's. That was his turn. They are just throwing that football with confidence. Even though it's well covered, they're getting the ball in there in small areas.
Got 10 and another first down. The Bombers are driving in the score zone now, and Roberts didn't like the right side, cuts back, and he's brought down by Samuels, but gets a hard-earned 6 yards.
That's what's so difficult defensively against playing against Charles Roberts, is that you have to be as disciplined on the backside and hustling on the backside as you are on the front side of a play, because at any time Charles Roberts can change gears and change directions. And that time he didn't like the play side, put the brakes on, cut back.
And at the
good yards.
At the 25, the elephant is getting a little harder to ignore.
Okay, I got my eye on him.
2nd and 5. Under 2 minutes to go. Flag down. Kevin Glenn looking into the sidelines for Stiegel, and he's unable to bring it down. And again, a flag dropped as the play unfolded.
You know, Stiegel that time got in behind the zone. It was basically 2 layers. There was a flat player, a short player in the Edmonton zone. He got behind him and then stopped before he got to the deep player in the zone.
Procedure, legal formation. 64 was not up in the line of scrimmage. Decline. 3rd down.
It wouldn't have mattered anyway. Stiegel did open up, but Kevin Glenn wasn't in a position to throw. Watch the zone. He's going to get outside of the bump here. Now he's open. He's looking for the football open. Glenn wasn't ready to throw when he first opened up.
But Troy Westwood comes on. That creates a buzz. After being sat down last week, he was 1 for 4 in week 1 against Edmonton. All the misses were outside 40.
Just a little pressure on him.
Yep, this from 32 yards out into the breeze. And Troy, who was good all week, out-dueling Pacula, puts it in, and the fans, some on their feet.
It comes with everything. Stereo cassette, 2D navigational system, automatic anti-theft device. But high-mileage cars can also come with engine wear, because they burn oil faster. So get Castrol GTX high mileage for superior oil burn-off protection. In lab tests of 10W30, 17% better than leading conventional oils.
Hey.
Castrol GTX high mileage. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
6-point Eskimo lead, 88 seconds remain, first half. And Ricky Ray hooking up with his favorite target, Jason Tucker, with a first down catch. Well, Troy Westwood hits from 32 yards out. We talked to him earlier about how tough it was to not be in the lineup last week.
Beyond agonizing, it was exceptionally difficult to do that, to not be able to compete against people when they're coming in trying to more or less take food off your table. So it was, but I put myself in that situation by kicking poorly. So in the end, I have myself to blame, and I have to make sure that I perform.
Here's a catch by Andrew Nowacki at the 54 yards, and Troy has just kicked his 599th career field goal.
You know, and almost every one of his teammates went over there, and I think, you know, because he's a veteran, spent so many years here in Winnipeg, that his teammates were cheering for him. Nothing against Pacula, but he's the new guy on the block, and they were hoping Westwood would have a big game.
First down, Ray looked one way, dumps it off the other, and McClendon with Barron Simpson in tow steps out, has another first down on the Bombers' side of half.
Both these quarterbacks love to play against each other, it seems. I mentioned that Ricky Ray has had his best game as a pro in the Canadian Football League against Winnipeg back in '05. Kevin Glenn in week 1 with 416 has his best game as a pro. And they look like they're starting to get their confidence more and more with every series here tonight.
5 straight 300-yard games for Ray against the Bombers. A first down, big pressure, gets it away, and McClendon spins off first contact and then was stripped of the ball, but it lands out of bounds. Bombers think they should have the football, and they'll debate that along the sidelines. And you wonder if Doug Barry would challenge it if they rule it Eskimo ball.
Well, the coaching staffs will wait for a replay, and how about if we give them one? Here we go right to the sideline. Possession, clearly the ball comes out, but it has to be touched again. That punch by the Winnipeg defender, was it Gavin Walls?
Not sure, but the ball seemed to bounce off him when he was out.
The initial touch when you punch the football does not constitute a change of possession.
It's Corey Jenkins.
Yeah, it's Jenkins.
Does he touch it again as it went out?
That's right, and he has to touch it. He can't kick it, he's got to touch it. So,
boy, that Corey Jenkins is a ball hawk. This is week 3. He's already forced 2 fumbles. They've shown the replay on the scoreboard here, and you know that will incite the fans to think it's a Bomber turnover. And there's Doug Barry poised to throw a flag.
Well, the coaching staffs have now.
Ball was fumbled. His last touch by Winnipeg. First down.
He doesn't have to throw it, but maybe Danny Machocha will.
Yeah. You have to touch it again. The punch of the football the first time does not constitute possession or a change of possession.
Oh, it might have gone off his wallet, his back pocket on the way out. And I think they may have got it right after all. Let's see if Coach Machocha will challenge the call. McClendon disagrees. But did it bounce off Jenkins' backside on his way out of bounds? Right there.
Well, if it did, it touched his shoulder. But that first punch of the football is not good enough. So they're ruling that it did touch him again before he went out.
Good job by the officials. And now the challenge flag has been thrown, so they wanted to make sure upstairs they got a good look at it, and Danny Machocha exercising his challenge option.
Now, again, you go back to the ruling. The ruling is where it starts. The ruling was a turnover on the fumble recovery, that the Bombers were the last players to touch it out of bounds before it went out of bounds. So you have to have enough evidence to overturn that call.
I've got to be clear what you're challenging. Upper body. I'm challenging the ball. Simultaneous. Yeah, we have last possession afterwards.
So again, Ken Lazaruk making sure he has Danny Machocha enunciate the correct reason he wants a challenge.
The blue guy was out of bounds when he touched it. We touched it last.
I'm just saying his guy, I think, was out of bounds. We have that. That's last possession, the same thing. Same thing. They're challenging
I'm not sure why we need such precise wording. We know why they want to challenge it.
Yeah.
Edmonton is challenging. Who was the last to touch it before it went out of bounds?
Well, and I'll tell you why they want precise wording. Because the game in Saskatchewan, when the wording wasn't completely clear, there were some errors made last week. So,
but in hindsight, they said the ruling, it should have been challenged last week. And
yeah,
you wonder why the onus is on the coaches to be that precise. And once again, does Jenkins make contact again as it goes out? And again, this is an Eskimo challenge. And it has to be clear that Jenkins didn't touch the ball now.
Yeah, that he didn't touch it, and there has to be enough evidence to overturn it. And was he lying on the white stripe when he touched it?
This might be the best angle for that. And
no possession yet, as far as the turnover.
No,
I can't see it there.
Hard to tell from there if Jenkins is out or not. But
and a reminder that the officials get the replay angles that the viewer at home gets. So they see what you just saw.
And Ken Lazaruk needed video evidence that was clear-cut to change his mind.
And maybe they thought that left hand touched the football on its way out, and that's why they ruled.
Boy, at that angle, it does look like Jenkins is out, but again, it has to be conclusive to re-award the ball to Edmonton. And with 1:02 to go, if it is indeed Blue Bomber ball, they're in decent shape up near midfield.
Be interesting here because both plays were so close for Danny Machocha on these challenges. When you think back to that touchdown by TJ Acree, here we go.
A
Upon review, there is no substantial evidence to show otherwise. That blue didn't touch it. Blue did touch it going out of bounds. Blue's ball first down. And as suspected, it is Bomber ball. And Corey Jenkins has a turnover for Winnipeg.
Both were so close, and both were two plays that Danny Machocha absolutely had to challenge.
So at the 48-yard line, Bombers get another possession before the end of the half. There's Kevin Glenn to go to work. Looking for O'Neal Wilson. Brings it in and is dropped at the 39. Second catch of the second quarter for O'Neal Wilson.
That's another big catch. He had to double clutch it because he had Edmonton defenders all around him. He's the outside receiver right here at the bottom of your screen. And he's going to be the guy that goes down and just curls up. Milt Stegall clears out. He goes deep. Lots of attention towards Milt Stegall on that play. I think he had 3 covering him. O'Neal Wilson's benefits from it.
Stegall lines up as the wide man, short side of the field. Here comes the rush, and it's complete underneath. And Terrence Edwards continues to be a key component of this Bomber offense. 31 seconds on the clock.
You know, more and more attention down in this area is being paid to Milt Stegall. I saw that time. Safety for the Edmonton Eskimos moved towards him. Perryman's covering him. A couple of plays in a row, they've had 3 defenders on him, and that should open up the rest of the receiving corps.
Now Stegall reverses and goes to the wide side. Kevin Glenn looked the other way. Now over the middle, and Jamie Stoddard can't pull it down with Ray Perryman in his hip pocket.
Yeah, Ray Perryman's putting together a pretty good game. He's kind of forced into action. He wasn't expecting to play as many snaps as he has in the linebacking core. He was going to play tonight, but only in certain situations. They were going to move Shannon Garrett down. He's made a couple of knockdowns in the passing game. So it's a pretty good job by Ray Perryman to step it up when he wasn't going to play or didn't think he was.
Yeah, the Eskimos love this guy's athletic ability, his upside. He's just learning the position. 2nd and 10. Kevin Glenn looked downfield and now has to scramble. And he has a completion. And Kerry Johnson has another catch. And now, with 5 seconds to go, they're at the 12-yard line.
With the first down, and now for Doug Barry, it's a, do you take one shot? I think he's going to send out Troy Westwood. Everybody in the building would love to see one shot to maybe Milt Stegall. How about that? That's what Kevin Glenn wants, but 5 seconds, a bit of a gamble for Doug Barry in this situation.
Yeah, you can't come away with nothing after this impressive response to the fumble recovery. And Westwood on to attempt from 19 yards out. You've had the Stegall watch and the Westwood controversy. All kinds of issues to be dealt with in Winnipeg. And here's Troy trying to solidify his spot.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Flag down.
Flag on the play.
Westwood put it through.
And it looked like the Eskimos may have jumped from the outside. Omar Morgan got a good jump. Now, I'm not sure if he was drawn. If he was drawn, they'll have to do it again. If not, they won't take points off the board, I'm sure. Decline the penalty.
It is against the Eskimos.
Offside. Edmonton decline.
And it is 3 for Westwood and the Bombers. And so it's a 3-point game. Halftime, 11-8 Edmonton here at Canada Stadium.
The First Down Line, brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Hey, it's Dad, again. Around here, money just flies out of my wallet, and now you're away at school. Hey, so here's the deal. My Rogers home phone, your Rogers home phone, no long-distance charges. Now we can use it to call any Rogers home or wireless phone right across Canada, free. Save when you switch, save when your friends switch. That sweet deal just got sweeter. Your brother.
Say hello to Dad.
You need money for laundry. Does laundry have a name?
Say hello to Rogers Home Phone for only $19.95 a month for the first 5 months.
10, 20, 30, 45, 50 miles per hour. That's a new record.
Wow, that's fast.
How does it taste?
Doesn't matter, it's fast.
A fast burger is useless unless it tastes good. That's why at Wendy's, our hot, juicy burgers are made to order, so they're fast and good.
That's right.
Come on, Bobby, we're gonna get out. Bob, wake up. Bob, come on, we're taking off. Bob, come on. Oh, don't mind if I do. That's the worst camper ever. Get up!
Little heat, guys?
No.
Introducing the all-new 2007 Jeep Patriot, starting at $16,995. Choose your adventure.
To learn more about Rona by Design, visit rona.ca. It's your interactive tool for renovating in style. Rona.ca, from the Canadian how-to people.
With Rona by Design, choose from among the latest styles to realize the home facade of your dreams and earn Air Miles reward miles. Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Live at the half, brought to you by Wendy's new Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. Wendy's, that's right.
Well, had it kept raining, it would have been a puddle of mud, at least outside the stadium. Hi, everybody. Dave, Jock, Matt, and Chris. 11-8 is the score. The Milt watch continues. 11-8. Should it be more for Edmonton? With Milt not getting the touchdown, we're going to take you back to a play that happened in the first quarter that was ruled not a touchdown. During the offseason, there were points of emphasis discussed between the director of officials and Jim Daly, the senior advisor, and coaches, and one of them right at the top of the list was catch, no catches, what is incomplete, what is not on bang-bang plays such as this one. The ruling is you have to not only survive the contact, possession in the air is not good enough. You have to survive the contact not only initially with the ground, but the roll afterwards. In the words of George Black, you have to get up and show me the ball. And so for all of those people in Edmonton that are upset with Ken Lazarick is an official with 30 years worth of experience, and he is calling it exactly how they want it interpreted. The question is, do you like the rule itself? Was it a catch?
Yeah, I couldn't be more passionate about this issue. I called George Black as soon as that play happened and voiced my concerns in no uncertain terms, guys. And to me, the game of football is tough enough. If you have to catch the ball, have possession in the air, land, survive the hit on the ground, roll with the football as you see him do here, and then have a DB, as you've completed one full roll, tear the ball out, is exactly what happened here. And in my mind, the CFL has to get this right. They have got to change the interpretation of what constitutes possession, Matt. And that's my problem with this. The refs called it right, but to me, as a receiver, you've got to give the guy a touchdown.
Well, I think we're all unanimous that we all thought that was a touchdown catch, but the interpretation and the application of the rule was bang on. That's the way the league has it stated now. Not George Black, but the entire league and all the coaches and players, and they understand that going in, and that is the issue. But what Dave has asked, and his question is, Jock, do you agree with the rule? Now, the interpretation, application was bang on. You said it. Yeah. Ken Lazarick was bang on, right. And Schultze. Mm-hmm. I think it's a touchdown. You know, do they have to review this? Hey, I think they look
review it now, Schultze? Can they review it now instead of waiting until the off-season?
Well, I think they can, because I think you have to make the adjustment to give the receiver the credit for making the effort to make the catch, because I think when you have possession for a second, as he did in that moment, that to me is a football catch. There comes a point where, you know, you have to give some credit for the skill of the guy getting the ball. Yes, it's the rule. It's the rule, and they interpreted it to the T. But I don't think it is proper in the sense that I think it's a touchdown.
I want to ask you this, Jock. As a receiver, they continue to apply this rule, and I say the league, not they as an officials. The league continues to have this rule. Will it extend the concentration level of a receiver so he's thinking going through this, I've got to show this to the official? Will it change his mindset?
Yeah, as a receiver, you're now thinking, I got to hold on it, survive that impact of the ground.
And
now,
then the crash.
DBs are going to start jumping on guys, punching the ball, ripping that as you're rolling. You got to be surviving all of that. And you got to stand up and now show the ball to the
I totally disagree with both of you. If you're a really good receiver, that should be a no issue. You should hang on to that ball unless Satan comes down there himself and grabs it out of your hand.
Spoken like a true offensive lineman.
Exactly. Well, you know what? A few years ago, the National Hockey League turned a blind eye to a toe in the crease rule, and in the Stanley Cup final, they ended up with a little bit of egg on their face.
Don't want that to
happen. We just don't want that to happen. I think that's bottom line. What we're saying, you don't want to see that become a factor in the playoffs or even worse, the Grey Cup. Here's the Boston Pizza CFL poll question. You logged on and voted on what has been the biggest story. 29% of you say Calgary getting spanked 2 weeks in a row. I think I would have to agree with that.
This telecast is copyrighted by the CFL for the private use of our audience, and any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the CFL's consent is prohibited.
What the 329, what are you doing? That's the Dirty Bird and Laserhawk. We're just dreaming we're fighter pilots.
Roger, just had Coke Zero. Real Coca-Cola tastes 0 calories.
Yep, gotta be dreaming. Negative, moron. This is not a dream. You're flying a cargo jet. We can't live like this.
Larry had a problem.
I'm trying to get my pension changed to my kids.
Chuck was his solution.
Domestic partnership.
We're not gay.
On July 20th.
I'd like to talk to you about your domestic partnership.
You're a legitimate couple, right?
I used to wrestle in high school, and I loved it.
Adam Sandler, Kevin James.
16 women claim to have slept with you over the last year and a half.
Just for the record, I thought this was a man when I was with her.
Chuck and Larry starts July 20th.
Okay, let's not make this any harder than it has to be. Switch lanes. Okay, let's take the next right. Nice. Go ahead of that car. Easy does it. Hey, now look who's driving. Pull into this parking lot. Be right back.
It's true. We've lowered our prices again.
Call Jennifer. Display map. 22 degrees.
The newly refined Acura TL, where technology enhances performance, comfort, and life. There are no boring drives. Acura. Advance.
CFL Wired is brought to you by Puddle of Mud's new album, Famous, in stores soon.
Okay, here are the halftime numbers brought to you by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Dave, never at work. Edmonton Eskimos, 175 passing yards. That has to improve. But look at the bottom, 0 for 2 on challenges. Would that have changed this game?
One touchdown scored by TJ Acree. He spoke with Sean Churchill.
TJ, after dominating the first half when it comes to time of possession, what do you build on going into the second half?
Just finishing drives. Obviously, you know, we're doing a good job driving the ball. We need to finish off drives.
Tell me about getting the momentum back after these last 2 series for Winnipeg.
Just holding on to the ball, keeping our defense off the field, as usual, kind of cliche, but we just need to keep doing what we're doing and then finish them off.
Thank you very much. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you indeed, TJ. Our second game has BC at Saskatchewan. The man over there is checking his watch every 15 minutes. Fired up about that one.
I got to get home. This is what I'm doing.
We'll be right here.
This is my bit of business tonight. I do this. I scoot home. when you said who wants a cold one, I have plans later on tonight. It's the second half of the doubleheader. Can't wait for it. We're going to start, though, with a little news from the National Hockey League. It had been rumored for a while, a day after stepping down as the general manager and head coach of the Red Deer Rebels, Brent Sutter accepted one of the NHL's least secure jobs as Devils bench boss. The 45-year-old becomes the 14th coach in 26 seasons. On to the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. Mike Lowell's going to smash one over the head of Vernon Wells. It goes off the wall. 2 runs come in. Red Sox currently lead it by a count of 5-4 in the third. The next edition of Sports Center will come your way at 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 a.m. Eastern time. We'll have your complete CFL story, baseball highlights, David Beckham's in Los Angeles, and more.
Your kind of guy, huh?
Yes.
Summer is a time for love, baby. And now at the Brick, the love is free. Get a free love seat when you buy the matching sofa and chair. Now, here's the exceptions. There are no exceptions, baby. Get free love at the Brick.
Hello, Moto.
Help wrap your skin in a more youthful glow with our added moisturizing ribbon with light enhancers and new Olay body wash with radiance ribbons. It's the body wash that moisturizes and turns the lights on your skin. You're showered with a more luminous glow. New Olay body wash with radiance ribbons. Love the skin you're in.
Over 60 years ago, we began to work with Ferrari. What we've learned from our shared passion on the track, we've put on the road. Shell V-Power. Ferrari fuel for the road.
Larry had a problem.
Trying to get my pension changed to my kids.
Chuck was his solution.
Domestic partnership. We're not gay.
On July 20th, Adam Sandler, Kevin James.
What do you got? Maxi pads.
We're supposed to be gay, not transsexuals.
Chuck and Larry starts July 20th.
The First Down Line, brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. GMC, professional grade.
Tonight's game is available on TSN HD. TSN, Canada's sports leader in high definition. 11-8 headed to the third quarter. Here's Sean Churchill with Coach Doug Barry.
Coach Barry, after a bit of a slow start, what can you build on, especially on these last 2 drives going into halftime?
Can we say play any worse in the first quarter? And I think we're in the game. It's 11-8. We started playing about 6 minutes left in the first half, and I think if we can just keep playing that way, we should have a good chance in this second half.
Thank you very much. Good luck in that second half.
We'll need it.
Thank you, Sean. It's been a bone of contention for Doug Barry. Slow starts for his team. Now just 9 points in 3 opening quarters this season.
Yeah, and you know, the Bombers in their 2 games have had to come from behind. In game 1, they were down 25-22 at the half. Came back to tie that. That ended up in a tie. And then game 2, they were down by 13 after the first quarter and had to battle back there for that win against Montreal. So they are used to coming back from a deficit.
Mel Stegall, 2 catches, 24 yards in the first half. Eskimos looking for their first win. Bombers trying to stay unbeaten. And here's Fred Reed. Put a ball down on the turf. In the opening half, Will Loftus and Ray Perryman down quickly to cover the kick.
Look at the way the quarterbacks played in the first half. You know, Kevin Glenn really didn't get the ball till the second quarter. He went 10 of 18. Not bad numbers. Did have the 1 interception. Then there's Ricky Ray's numbers. I like what both quarterbacks are doing, though. Their confidence is high, and at a lot of times there's been great coverage defensively, and they have threaded the needle, both of them.
And if you're joining us late, Jonte Buell went down very early in this game, and we have a report that it's a broken right wrist. They'll swing it out of the backfield, and Terrence Edwards been the most dangerous man in that Winnipeg offense so far tonight. Another first down.
Interesting start for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that have been slow starters all season long. As you mentioned, their first few possessions, they did not get a touchdown, had a couple of field goals in their possessions in the first half, and the turnovers is what really hurt them. Charles Roberts fumbled, and then they had the punt, the onside kick that they did not recover, that the Edmonton Eskimos did. Both ended up in their own end.
Kit Cartwright is the new offensive coordinator, and he's watching his twin tight ends on first down, and Charles Roberts brought down very quickly. Ron Warner, the former Blue Bomber, with the tackle.
You know, you have to think that the Bombers have a bit of an edge in the momentum category right now. They scored going in at half, but also when they look at the scoreboard, and I'm sure that Doug Barry was talking to them in the halftime, they're saying, guys, we turned the ball over 3 times. We didn't recover a kickoff. They got it down in our own end. Our defense held us in there. We're right in this football game and probably shouldn't be.
2nd and 9, flags down. Looked like the Bombers may have been offside. And Kevin Glenn runs for the first down, pending the penalty markers.
Now, Stiegel was trying to get a jump on that route. He was a deep corner route, and he may have been in that neutral zone or beyond it.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 85, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down repeated.
So it'll be 2nd and 14. We may need a new category. You know, we have points off turnovers. By my count, potentially 9 points off video challenge for the Bombers.
Yeah, that's another good
difference.
point.
A touchdown wiped out. The Eskimos end up with just a single on a missed field goal, and then on the video review, the Bombers get the fumble recovery and drive for 3 late first half points. So 2nd and 14, and Glenn unloads, looking for Wilson, off his fingertips. Made a couple of solid grabs in the first half, and would like to have that one back.
Well, you know, he had to change his body position and the direction he was running down the field slightly as the ball sort of drifted to the outside. But O'Neal Wilson runs his post, and he waited a split second too long to make that adjustment to the football, and then it was just out of his reach. He was in behind cover. Jason Goss was chasing him.
There's Tony Tompkins awaiting the Pakula punt. Wind at the Bombers' back, and Tompkins cornered and runs out of real estate just beyond the 20, a 45-yard punt.
Are you ready? Safeway $1 Million Touchdown to Win is back. If your name appears, you've won a trip or two to a tropical destination like the newly renovated Omni Cancun Hotel and Villas in Mexico. Flights courtesy of redtag.ca. Get in the game at Safeway.
Hey, it's your brother. I know I'm very lucky to have big sisters that love me, but calling you in Vancouver, St. John, Oakville, cha-ching. So I switched to Rogers Home Phone, like you. Now I can use it to call any Rogers wireless or home phone free. It's like you guys are right next door, which could be bad. But you did help me get a girlfriend. Awesome. And keep the girlfriend. Also awesome.
Say hello to your brother.
Hey, did what you said. Yeah, she was completely surprised.
Say hello to Rogers Home Phone for only $19.95 a month for the first 5 months.
There's fast. There's scary fast. Then there's Lexus IS350 fast. The 306 horsepower, naturally aspirated. Lexus IS350. Pursue the moment.
JVC, the leader in HD technology, featuring LCD flat panel and HD ILA microdisplays, is proud to present TSN HD.
Tonight's doubleheader available online at tsn.ca, and this season CFL on TSN and Friday night football games will all be available on demand at tsn.ca, along with highlights, features, and CFL analysis on TSN broadband. Dan Comiskey left the Eskimo lineup in the first half. Rhett McLean's in his spot. Second straight relief job for McLean, and here's McClendon. Ball down by Corey Jenkins, is making a name for himself. Fumble recoveries in 3 straight games for the Bombers.
Mentioned in the first half that both these quarterbacks have had their best performances as pros against these teams. Ricky Ray in week 1 on fire to start the season for the Edmonton Eskimos. 5 touchdown passes for Ricky Ray. Week 2 didn't go quite as well.
No. 2nd and 9. Big pressure. And Ray escapes. Has to pull it down and hurdles short of the first down. Well, that might pump up the Eskimo bench watching their leader.
Well, he certainly didn't hook slide. You know, there's a good example again of Ricky Ray's footwork. And first of all, the footwork, I'm not talking about putting his players in motion with that big heel up, but nice little footwork and step inside, and then the bounce to the outside. And he saw that first down marker and wanted to go for it, took a hit because of it.
Ryan Giebert, Baron Simpson and company.
Is it close enough for Danny Machocha to take a shot here?
Well, it does look like it is in that 1 yard range. You're actually inside your 35, so that's a bit of a gamble, but it looks like the Eskimos are standing in Steve Giles to go for it on 3rd down.
And that usually means quarterback sneak, but that's the heart of that defensive line. Doug Brown in there, Jerome Haywood. You got to try and move 6'8", 300 in Doug Brown.
Well, the fans getting up for this. The Buffet boys get down to work. 3rd and almost a full yard for Giles.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
He got.
I don't know.
And both teams give you the predictable signal that it's going their way.
You know, and it doesn't matter what you think or I think. It doesn't matter what each team thinks. It only matters where the official from the side puts his foot. But that initial surge didn't get much. Baron Simpson came over the top and really hit Giles right in the mouth.
Boy, I'd be surprised with that lack of a surge that he got the first down.
Well, that concern tells it all right there.
Baron Simpson 5 times has led the CFL.
Well,
look at
half
that.
of football.
Wow. Breathing a sigh of relief on the Eskimos sideline.
That second effort from Giles there to get it, because that initial surge was not there from the O-line. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers won that battle, and I think Stephen Giles just got there on his own by a few inches.
I was interested to hear Doug Barry say yesterday that he thinks Kevin Glenn's one of the best quarterback sneakers. You wouldn't think of it as a skill, but he said it very much is one, and Glenn is one of the best. First down, Ray had to double pump that and throw it away. Let's join Sean Churchill on the sidelines.
Thank you very much, Chris. The injuries continue to mount on both sides of the field. Defensive Player of the Week, Gavin Walls did not return for the second half. His left shoulder continues to bother him. It's a high tricep injury that is keeping his momentum, or his arm, in a sling. Guys?
And just double checking here, Giebert comes in as they load up on 2nd and 10. And pressure, Ray escapes. Looking for Acree, and he can't come up with it. Incomplete. Somehow, Ricky Ray avoided the rush of Kyrus Hebert.
Well, Kyrus Hebert on the previous play showed the blitz and then dropped out of there. This time he actually came on the safety blitz And again, Ricky Ray has done this all evening long, avoided that rush with good footwork, something that we mentioned in the first half. Rick Warman, who is one of the reasons that Ricky Ray is even in the Canadian Football League, because they played together in the Arena Football League. Rick Warman's been working on that footwork with Ricky Ray, and it's paying off.
Fleming kicks it away. Albert Johnson at his 35. And Johnson straight ahead to the 43-yard line. A 3-point Eskimo lead.
For a limited time, you'll get more value when you purchase qualifying 2007 Honda motorcycles and ATVs. The choice is yours, any way you look at it. With these great offers, you get the classic reliability and legendary performance of a Honda. It's a winning combination. Don't miss out. This offer ends soon. Please see your local Honda dealer for details or visit honda.ca.
Who do I talk to about getting the Burt in HD?
I'm sorry?
Smoke in the Bandit, the Burt.
Ah, gotcha. What do you know about 1080p?
Is that going to make the Burt look bigger?
Well, on a 65-inch HD TV, bigger and sharper.
Now, what's that sound like?
With the right subwoofer. How does that sound?
Pretty good.
We're gonna make this work for you.
In partnership with the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic teams, Rona has built the Growing with Our Athletes program to provide financial assistance to 100 athletes so they can realize their full potential. When you buy one of these special edition products, Rona contributes $1.50 to the program, so you too can be part of the dream.
Well, for every sack in tonight's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purolator, the official courier of the CFL, tackling hunger across Canada. We saw the truck tackle hunger driving around Winnipeg. It's Tackle Hunger Night here, and the capacity crowd has brought food with them and have watched Winnipeg move into second in the sack race. Saskatchewan leading the way, and now Kevin Glenn to work. Pumps. Nobody there, and now underneath he'll go to Kerry Johnson. Third catch for the newcomer. Flag thrown as he is bounced out of bounds by Omar Morgan.
Again, lots of attention spent watching where Milt Stegall, number 85, is by the Edmonton defense. That's why Kevin Glenn had to pull it down. He ends up finding Kerry Johnson on the outside. Let me just show you one of the examples I'm talking about. Watch Milt Stegall get this coverage. Now he tries to get down the field. Shabazz is underneath the linebacker. He's got a corner Omar Morgan up over the top. So basically double coverage, and that's why Kerry Johnson is open underneath, because Edmonton spending more attention with Stegall, and it's going to be tempting now for Kevin Glenn. He doesn't really want to lock into Stegall. Love to give him the record, love to get him the football, obviously. But the more he locks in, the more it takes him away from his regular game plan. It's something he has to guard against.
Doug Barry says, well, I've got enough weapons that'll beat man-to-man coverage that if they double Milt Stegall, somebody is going to be open.
Well, that's not necessarily a complete double. What is it? What?
Winnipeg number 8, locking downfield before the pass is caught. 10-yard penalty. First down repeated.
It's a call you don't hear very often.
No, you don't, and it was the scramble from Glenn. But you're right, Chris. They play man, they're doubling Milt Stegall, but that was what's called two-man. It's like a zone concept. Two deep players. One of them was the corner, Omar Morgan, and then underneath the linebackers are in a chase position. One way you beat that offensively is to dump the ball to your running backs, because the linebackers have their backs to the line of scrimmage.
So instead of the first down to Johnson, it's 1st and 20. And again, Glenn can't find anybody and has to step over the line and step out at the 37. So the Eskimo secondary does a good job on that play.
Well, and Kevin Glenn right now is getting flush from the defensive line from the Edmonton Eskimos. He's not really been able to set up and deliver on time in the passing game. He's getting that pressure that's causing him to get that ball back. Now, right now, he wants to step up and throw. Well, actually, it didn't look too bad there. Looked like he almost ran into the back of his own offensive lineman, and that was why he was flushed on that play.
Eskimos go into their trio package, which means 3 down linemen and 9 back, and now show blitz. And Kevin Glenn, the long out, and it skips incomplete. Intended for O'Neal Wilson, and it's a slow second half start for the Bombers offense.
Yeah, and again, Milt Stegall is just, you got to think, and I talked to some of the Edmonton defenders before the game, and they said that they really didn't talk about double teaming Milt. They didn't talk, but look at this. I mean, wherever 85 is, there's 2 white jerseys right beside him.
This doesn't look like a defense that's ranked last in the league coming into week 3. They have been stout and stingy so far, and a high snap. Hebert's kick going over the head of Pakula. Pretty good job on the run. Tompkins, no yards to call.
That's
amazing. By Pakula.
That's amazing.
And
Rob Pakula.
The fans who were cheering for Westwood are now cheering for the other Winnipeg kicker.
Everybody has fun with the kickers every now and then, but this is some kind of athletic play by Rob Pakula to come down here on the run. Now he knows he's got a chance, but this is tough. I mean, you try that in your front yard. I mean, the fans are listening. Go take a ball, even a soccer ball. Try and run full speed to your right and kick it on the fly. You'll end up on your backside.
And they pick up the no yards flag, 25 yards. The punt, they swing it to McClendon. Trying to get outside, Shinks, onion to get you, and just got back to the line of scrimmage. I wondered if the conventional play there, and even though Pakula makes a terrific play, whether or not the conventional play is to take the safety. What do you think?
It would be, but he also has what wind is left at his back, and I think when he turned around, he realized he had enough time to maybe execute it, but
terrific play.
We've seen Louis Bisaglia back in the old days do that a bunch, but that's an athletic play from the punter.
2nd and 9. At the 53, quarterback draw, and Ricky Ray picking his way to a first down.
Well, that's what you call a tendency breaker, and did it ever shut this crowd down? I mean, the crowd was all pumped up after Pakula does a great punt on the run. Then they get the tackle on first down, putting Edmonton in 2nd and long, and this is what's called a tendency breaker. I guarantee you the Winnipeg defense did not scout against Ricky Ray running a quarterback draw.
9-yard gain and a first down, and the ball at the Winnipeg 48. McClendon, and he's caught in the backfield and tossed down, and there is Jerome Haywood.
He is so low, his center of gravity is about knee-high to most of these offensive linemen. And Jerome Haywood right down in here. It's easy to tell which guy Jerome Haywood is because he's so low to the ground, and look at him just with quickness. Beat the block to the inside of Tim Baker and be right in the backfield.
Loss of 5. Remember, Gavin Wall's gone from that front 4. Ryan Giebert in. 2nd and 15. Ray looking for Acree. And he's jarred there, incomplete. David Bush in coverage. Fans haven't had a lot to cheer about on offense, so they're revved up for the defense.
A great decision by David Bush, because when he was breaking down to the football here, there was a moment I could tell by his demeanor and the way he was coming after the ball that he thought about cutting underneath. And at the last second, he just put his helmet in the middle of the numbers between the 8 and 4, and that jarred the ball loose. That was a great decision on the fly by Bush.
Albert Johnson back. There's Sean Fleming. Kicks into the 16. Oh, big hit there. What a collision. After the 37-yard punt. Looked like Matt Bertrand on the tackle.
Derek Jeter, humanitarian, leader, athlete, for the Movado Precision Timepiece Series 800. The art of performance. Movado Series 800.
Obsessing over celebrity, that's wrong. Unless that celebrity is bacon. Introducing the Baconator from Wendy's. 6 strips of bacon piled high atop 2 fresh, never frozen beef patties. Bacon! Obsess a little. Wendy's. That's right!
The Brick is having its biggest Simmons Beauty Rest event ever. On now. Save on the Simmons Beauty Rest Ultra Queen Size Sleep Set, the famous bowling ball mattress, and get this Sony digital camera free at The Brick or thebrick.com. Don't miss it, because when the trucks are empty, the savings are gone.
Once a season, and only once a season, Moore's has a sale. Save on a huge selection of suits and sport coats, dress shirts, shoes, and sportswear. So the only way to beat a Moore's price is at the Moore's summer sale. Moore's, well-made, well-priced, well-dressed.
Tom Brady, strategist, athlete, MVP, for the Movado Precision Timepiece Series 800. The art of performance. Movado Series 800.
The First Down Line, brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Well, let's take another look at Albert Johnson being greeted by Eskimo fullback and special teams guy Matthew Bertrand.
Bertrand with a great form tackle. I mean, lower the shoulders, explode into the running back. Albert Johnson didn't see him coming, tried to cut back in. Ouch. Those babies hurt.
This guy played quarterback at Laval.
And he was watching.
And you're seeing the results of the first haircut in 3 years. Remember the long mop he had? Let's take another look and listen to the collision.
Well, I think that haircut has made him a lot faster. He got down there in a hurry and thrilled. I'm sorry.
Ray Perryman was shaken up on the downfield cover for Edmonton, so he is slow to get off. 6:09 left, third quarter. The Bombers had 416 yards passing, 127 yards rushing against Edmonton in week 1. They have 197 yards of offense, and that's why these fans continue to wait for number 138. Will it be tonight? Oh no, we weren't supposed to mention that.
Yeah, there you go.
They start at the 26 and they go to Charles Roberts. And he's hauled down behind the line of scrimmage. Kenny Anatolu.
Well, you know, one of the things that adds to the drama, Milt looking for 138, was, remember last year on 2nd and 100 with no time on the clock, last play of the game? I know Edmonton fans don't want to remember.
The Milt miracle.
So he doesn't have it yet, 138, but it could come down to the last play.
And that highlight shows you it can happen at anywhere in the field. O'Neal Wilson pulls this down in the sun, but is stopped close to the line of scrimmage. Shannon Garrett in the neighborhood, and another 2 and out.
You know, the other thing that you got to believe is that Kevin Glenn, as he comes to the sideline, is continually getting advice. The spotters are taking a look. Everyone watching how the Edmonton Eskimos are trying to cover Milt Stegall. And you know that Kevin Glenn's getting the advice, like, look, they're doing a lot of double team. When they play zone, they're running a man underneath on him. And maybe Kevin Glenn has already decided that he's looking elsewhere.
Number 1 offense stymied by the number 8 ranked defense, and there's a block. Stanford Samuels has blocked the punt. So the former Bomber, for the second time, gets his hand on a Pakula punt in this game.
Set up perfectly by the Edmonton Eskimos because Jeremy Steeves is going to take the inside block away. Watch this. He's going to take the personal protector block away, and what does that open up? That opens up the outside, and Stanford Samuels, that's the personal protector's position. If that outside is open, he times the jump perfectly and gets both hands on the football. Right at the bottom of your line, and he just jumps and he attacks the football, not the punter.
Now, to be technical, I don't believe that counts as a punt block, and we found that out about Baron Miles last week as well, because the ball did cross the line of scrimmage, but barely. Eskimos won't quibble. They've got the ball at the 35. McClendon, and he is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Baron Simpson, the Minister of Defense for the Bombers.
Lots of football to play, but I think in the competition between Ron McClendon and Tyler Ebell, it's still going to continue as the weeks go on, right? You know, and there's some good tacklers over there on the Winnipeg side of the football, without question. Baron Simpson, one of the best in football. But they've done a pretty good job of containing Ron McClendon here this evening.
There is talk the Eskimos really would like to deploy both in the backfield together. 2nd and 10, pressure on, and the screen falls incomplete as Tom Canada turned up the heat.
Well, I know Jerome Haywood was in there too. He's right there. Tom Canada right here. And Tom Canada in the stand-up position. He gets the pressure on the outside. They tried to cut Jerome Haywood. I don't know how you cut Jerome Haywood at 5'9". And I believe Patrick Kabongo tried to get down there, and Patrick Kabongo's 6'7". So between Canada and Haywood, that play was over.
So I'm trying to figure this out. It was 39-39 in week 1, and now we've got a defensive battle. 2 good defenses in this game, and Fleming blasting this one into the end zone. And the no-yards flag goes, and Mike Maurer within the 5, but
that's a mistake.
Likely a single point.
That's
With the innovative Rona by Design concept, it's almost that simple. Choose from among the latest in deck styles to suit your tastes. Then bring your dream to life with our Rona experts. Rona by Design, from the Canadian how-to people.
So it's now a 12-8 game as the no-yards penalty declined by the Bombers. It's a 4-point Eskimo lead, but you say mistake, Sean Fleming?
You know, I think you kick for a single there if it's late in the 4th quarter. It's so early, and hitting a team deep, to me, is more beneficial than that point at this stage of the game.
Bombers go to work, their own 35. Here's Jamie Stoddard with a catch. Shannon Garrett the tackle, and a 9-yard pickup for the University of Alberta product.
I also watched Sean Fleming's reaction after the kick, and he did not look happy. It looked like he mishit it. So I think Danny Machocha likely electing there to try and pin him deep. They didn't get that done, so they'll take the single. Now they do have that 4-point spread in what has been, like you mentioned, a real defensive struggle. But Fleming's reaction was he mishit it.
Second and less than a yard, which makes you wonder, do you use this as a free play, or because your offense isn't going well, just get the first down? And
I wish offenses would do it more.
Glenn, and we mentioned Doug Barry saying there's a knack to the quarterback sneak, and Kevin Glenn's one of the best. And we see a lot of backup quarterbacks come in so you don't have your starter injured, but Doug Barry doesn't want to take that chance. He feels Kevin Glenn's the best man for the job.
Well, a couple of reasons why you'd be good at something like that is, one, to be able to take a peek at the line of scrimmage without giving it away and decide which side you want to go to. But the other is strictly your pad level. Getting your shoulder pads nice and low. Kevin Glenn did that on that last play and picked up plenty of yards.
At the 46, 1st and 10. Here comes pressure. Kevin gets away. Anatolo blocked down. Another huge block. And Glenn slides for a 1st down. But he got some help from his friends. Couple of devastating blocks.
The best coming from a guy who's made a couple of big catches in the open field. O'Neal Wilson, who comes hard down on Ray Perryman. Ray Perryman in chase, and here he comes, number 0. Watch that hit. Whoa. Perryman doesn't see it coming, and he lowers the shoulder, and they're showing the replay right now. And that's a little football, baby.
Decleater.
You got to love that when your receivers, who aren't known for the physical contact unless they're receiving it and jumping back up, step up and make a block to protect the quarterback. O'Neal Wilson's having a game.
And what a great acquisition from the Alouettes. And once again, the Eskimos, or the Bombers, look at 2nd and less than a yard. Jumbo team on. And another 1st down sneak by Kevin Glenn.
You know, and again, the nice low pad level there from Kevin Glenn. He doesn't hesitate. That's the other thing. There's no stand up. There's no get tall. Watch how Kevin Glenn here just gets those pads down low. Doug Barry talked about how good he is at this. Look how low he is. He never stands up straight and gives any defender a target to hit. O'Neal Wilson found a target to hit, didn't he?
Did he ever? So the ball now into Eskimo territory at the Edmonton 54. And a little look in, 6th catch of the game for Terrence Edwards to the 50. A guy that has benefited from the training program off-season of Milt Stegall.
Yeah, and they call him Mini Milt. You know, that's what they've been calling him here. And boy, this is a guy in Milt Stegall that is a training fanatic. You remember back in the legendary Henry Gizmo Williams and all the times with him training. Well, Milt Stegall is the same type of guy, trains 5 days a week, and it is full on. In fact, players around the league are now meeting him in Atlanta. Edwards, one of them, to train with him because it's becoming legendary.
2nd and 6. A pump from Glenn in trouble, and Stevie Banks, the former Bomber, with the sack. The man they called Shakespeare in university because he made so many plays. Makes a big one on the final play of the 3rd quarter. So the defenses continue to be stingy here. And that is the end of 3 quarters here at Canadian Stadium in Winnipeg, where the Eskimos lead by 4.
There's nothing better than being treated like family. So when you join ours, we treat you like one of us with Ford family pricing. So now's a great time to join the Ford family. And to get your family price, it's simple. Just visit your Ford store or Ford.ca today.
Oh, sweet.
I couldn't think of exactly what to say to you today on this special day. You do it.
A long, long time ago, you were born.
Happy birthday.
Moments from your favorite movies, now playing in Hallmark cards. Use movies to say it all. Only at today's Hallmark Gold Crown stores.
Stats after 3 quarters brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
When you look at the Edmonton passing yards, 177, you would think that Ricky Ray, who got off to a pretty good start, had some good field position, really hasn't been moving the ball of late against this Winnipeg defense.
Yes, we've talked a lot about a vastly improved Eskimo defense in this game, but clearly now the stats evening up, and that's largely because Winnipeg's defense has become much better.
It has been a gutsy effort. When you think about the guys that are not in the lineup for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they lost both corners. They've had problems in the secondary. Gavin Walls left the game after halftime. I mean, this has been a Winnipeg defense that's been hit hard with injuries, and they are battling in a low-scoring game.
And with 15 minutes left, there's still an elephant in the room. Here's Pakula. Better snap from Giebert, and a good kick. Tompkins at his 10. And Tompkins kicks it outside. Tony Tompkins up across the 40-yard line for the best punt return of the evening. Let's join Sean Churchill.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm joined by two of the biggest Blue Bomber fans on this night. Number 85, this is Chase and Darlene Stiegel. And Darlene, you think Milt's going to get the record tonight?
We think he's going to get here, get the record. We're here, we're excited, and we're very hopeful.
How much of a driving force was the record to bring Milt back for this season?
Actually, the record had very little to do with him coming back this season. I mean, this season really is all about believing in the Blue Bomber club, and believing that, you know, he has a chance to win the cup with the team this year.
So will he be back next year?
We'll see, we'll see. Hopefully he wins the cup this year, and he can, you know, retire on the note that he would love to.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the game.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Oh, she left it open, though. That's an interesting comment. I love the fact that Milt's son's name is Chase, because that's what DBs have been doing for 13 years.
Yeah.
Chase Stiegel.
Yeah, and Milt said, you know, he wants to be a running back, and he's about the same size as Charles Roberts right now.
2nd and 10. Out of the backfield, McClendon. Good catch, but has trouble with the footing, and he'll be stopped short as the Bombers swarm to Ron McClendon. And again, first downs at a premium in the second half.
Yeah, gutsy effort by this Winnipeg defense with all the changes they've had to make against Ricky Ray. I mean, here's a guy who put 5 touchdowns on the board 2 weeks ago against the very same defense. And remember, Tyler Ebel had over 100 yards rushing against Winnipeg in that game. They go through all kinds of injuries, and they've bowed their neck and played some football for 3 quarters.
Well, Albert Johnson will try and answer the good Tompkins return. Fleming takes some time off the clock and now punts it away, and this is a good one. Johnson backed up to the 5. Shabazz! What a good tackle that is by Shabazz after a 57-yard kick.
Think you can talk football with the pros? Vote for the Rogers Player of the Game during TSN broadcasts, and you could win a VIP trip to the Grey Cup in Toronto, access to the Rogers Player Awards, official CFL game balls, pay-as-you-go Nokia 2610 phones. To enter, grab your Rogers wireless phone, punch in the first letter of your player's city and his jersey number, then send it GO-CFL, 99 cents Canadian per message sent, or vote online at cfl.ca.
It's game time!
You make the call.
As I was saying, Sasquatch's small brain really limits his intelligence. It's the Columbia Brewery nestled in the mountains. One brewery, one brewmaster.
There's even Glacier River.
Hey, that's me. Look out, Sasquatch, I'm gonna get you.
Oh, you probably will, because I don't have a brain.
Where were we?
Limited intelligence.
Right. Glacier Fresh Kokanee. It's the beer out here.
If you're practicing your pucker for Tim Hortons Lemon Baked Goods, perhaps you should be practicing your smile. Tim Hortons Lemon Baked Goods. Fresh lemon taste with none of the pucker.
Always fresh, always Tim Hortons.
The First Down Line, brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. GMC, professional grade.
Well, they lost Svetkovic early, and now the number 2, the backup long snapper, Brian Giebert, is hobbling off.
You don't often go 3 deep.
No.
When you're looking at snappers.
And that could turn into a game-deciding situation. They start deep with flags down, and a catch made by Kerry Johnson, with flags littering the Canadian Stadium field. You wonder if it's Dominic Picard, the center, who will become the long snapper, or maybe Aaron Fiacconi, who also has been a center. Usually find out who the backup is, but the backup to the backup in the long snap situation, you think Adrian Baird maybe too?
Yeah, I'm wondering, because in Ottawa, I think Adrian Baird did a little snapping.
Winnipeg number 85, half the distance to the goal line. Repeat first down.
But you know what it does? It puts more pressure on the Winnipeg offense, who now are looking at 1st and 15 after Milt Stegall was a little ahead of the snap.
Well, good scouting, because there is Adrian Baird getting set. 1st and 15. That'll might be a critical exchange, unless the Bombers can move the ball downfield. Jump ball, looking for Stegall, and look at the double coverage again.
Yeah.
Ray Perryman, J.R. LaRose.
Yeah, they're making a living out of this coverage, which is to have J.R. LaRose, a safety, play the deep coverage, so any deep ball like that one from Kevin Glenn, he's over the top of Milt Stegall, and underneath them, so Stegall can't put the brakes on, has been Ray Perryman. And you have got to give a lot of credit to Ray Perryman. This is a linebacker, strong safety type body.
Repeat first down.
And they'll get another crack at first down after the Edmonton penalty.
Yeah, an offside against the Eskimos. Didn't pick up a number, but it will be 1st and 10. Well, J.R. LaRose redeeming himself. He was benched last week after his efforts against the Bombers in week 1. Said he worked a lot harder in the film room getting ready for the rematch. There's Stoddard with a catch at the 15. Pushed out. And he'll be 3 to 4 yards short. Bringing up a critical 2nd and 3.
Well, Ray Perryman's going to make a name for himself, too, if he can continue to contain Milt Stegall when he gets stuck in that coverage. And he knows that he has over-the-top help, so he can be in what's called a trail position and just be underneath Stegall. But even having said that, Perryman still has to run with one of the best receivers in CFL history, play in and play out. You can tell he's breathing hard.
Torched Edmonton for 7 catches, 126 in week 1, but just 2 for 24 so far tonight. And again, the game plan, as you mentioned, was not for Perryman tonight. It was Shannon Garrett, but that changed on the first defensive play of the game for Edmonton when Jonte Buell suffered a broken wrist. Charles Roberts. There's Shabazz. Roberts busted one for 56. And look at him stretch out. And he may have moved the sticks here with a hard-earned 3-yard gain.
And this is what I'm talking about. If you're going to take your linebackers and Ray Perryman, and you're going to walk him out and make him a coverage guy, what is he doing? He's vacating this area. That brings Charles Roberts into play, because if you're going to take your linebackers and take them out and turn the back to Charles Roberts, that's going to be a one-on-one situation, and Shabazz just gets him down, but not until he had the first down.
Great second effort gives the Bombers a fresh set of downs, and Glenn has a completion. This is Johnson. Kerry Johnson's done a good job replacing the injured Derek Armstrong.
He really has, because you wondered how much that Kevin Glenn had leaned on Derek Armstrong in the first 2 games. He had 121 yards receiving, 13 catches in 2 games, and you get a rookie going in there, and you wonder, is he going to be able to pick up those 7-8 catches per game? But he's held his own, Kerry Johnson.
Short week for the Bombers, who will be in Montreal on Thursday, and they expect Armstrong to be back. First down. 2 big back-to-back first downs, and a nice catch here for O'Neal Wilson. And a little extra effort to get close to another first down. And he'll be looking forward to that return trip to Montreal next week.
O'Neal Wilson had to get past the rub play, and that made Kevin Glenn hold the football just a little bit longer. Baggs is coming around the corner, and watch Kevin Glenn just hang on, because he has to wait for his receiver to clear the pick and get open. He knows he has a free guy, and he just throws that around Stephen Baggs.
And Wilson now with his 4th catch and 59 yards, and a 3rd straight first down for the Bombers, who have moved it out of a real danger zone, amplified by the fact that they've lost 2 long snappers. A punt inside the 10 might have been disaster, but suddenly Kevin Glenn and the offense starting to move the ball. Not a lot of offense, but a terrific atmosphere here at Canada Stadium. And here is the end around to Edwards. Terrence Edwards, a big run to the Edmonton 45.
Well, he gets up limping, but what a change of speed, that he just makes a little shift in the backfield to get the angle to the outside. The reverse is coming this way, and right about here he stalls it down, and then another burst. Watch how he changes his speed and a little misdirection. Here he comes on the reverse, little shift there, making it look like he was going to cut to the inside. Then he outruns the angle of Perryman, picks up nice yardage.
16 for Edwards. And now the Bombers are into Edmonton territory at the 48. The swing pass. Charles Roberts eluding Abdullah. And now tossed back down to the 48 on first down for Sir Charles.
Opens the playbook up completely now for Kevin Glenn. When you can get in this 2nd and short situation, Charles Roberts a factor. The Edmonton defense now has to make sure they take care of their run responsibilities up front first. Boy, Raheem Abdullah almost read that one. He almost was in the backfield to get his hand on it. But this is a perfect situation for Kevin Glenn. The playbook is wide open now.
2nd and 2. One man not in the playbook at the moment. Chris Brazel watching from the sidelines. Double tights. Charles Roberts. First down. And more. Charles Roberts to the 20. A 20-20 run for Charles Roberts, 20 to get to the 20.
And Tico Dalton from the middle linebacker position had filled the gap, and it didn't look like there was a gap for Charles Roberts to run through. But look at the arm tackle attempt right there in the hole by Raheem Abdullah. He is so tied up with his man that he can't get that more than an arm on Roberts, and you can't arm tackle a good running back.
What an air of anticipation. 1st and 10 at the Edmonton 20. Back to Roberts. Big hole. Charles Roberts to the 3.
The linebackers for the Edmonton Eskimos are now vacating the middle and turning their backs to the play, and it's all Charles Roberts' time now because of it. One linebacker, Shadiq Shabazz, the only guy left to try and make the tackle on Roberts. He got caught in the wash, and Roberts burst through.
Usually this is Charles Roberts' territory. Will it be here? 1st and goal from the 4. It is Roberts, and he's stacked up at the line of scrimmage. And now, is it a passing situation on 2nd and goal from the 4?
Unless you're thinking quarterback draw, if you're Doug Barry, this is a throwing down on 2nd and 5.
Is it time, or is 85 the best decoy in the CFL? Let's find out. They pull it. Glenn under the pressure. It's on Osterhaus. Touchdown. It's not 138. It's number 2 for Osterhaus, who scored one against Edmonton 2 years ago. The most unlikely receiver in the stadium.
It breaks down because Kevin Glenn wants to go to the field to Stiegel. He has to scramble to his left, and Osterhaus is the next target. Strong hands by the big tight end.
And if there was any doubt that the win's more important than a record, that play will confirm that. Westwood's a single point, and the Bombers have claimed the lead.
Are you ready? Safeway $1 Million Touchdown to Win is back. You could win a 25 CD prize pack, including Bon Jovi's newest release, Lost Highway, featuring the hit You Want to Make a Memory. Get in the game at Safeway.
Bluetooth hands-free calling, push-button ignition, touchscreen navigation with real-time traffic updates, and a performance-minded, fuel-efficient CVT transmission. Introducing the all-new 270-horsepower V6 Nissan Altima Coupe. True technology, true performance, true coupe.
The Royal Canadian Mint presents Wheelchair Curling, a new collector coin and a historic first in the world, celebrating our Paralympic athletes' quest for gold. As the next Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games draw near, they'll need your encouragement more than ever. Without it, they might never make their dreams come true. Collect our new wheelchair curling coin from your change. Also available at Petro-Canada or visit an RBC branch today. Collect it and cheer on our Canadian athletes.
You know antioxidants are used in skincare, but do you know what they can do for your hair color? Find out. Try new Natural Instincts with antioxidants and vitamin C and E, and see how healthy hair color can look. Natural Instincts, new from Clairol.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Future Shop, Canada's #1 destination for big screen TVs. And by Castrol. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
How about that drive? 12 plays, 101 yards, 7:20 off the clock. And the Bombers lead by a field goal. As the kickoff bounces along the sidelines, Tompkins, who hoped it might kick out of bounds, had to play it.
How about John Osterhaus there? He goes down and becomes a receiver. Like this guy with the strong hands, but he also had to react to Kevin Glenn scrambling. He's lined up to the right of your screen as a tight end, and his pass route is just to go straight down the field. But he reacts. He sees the scramble. Milt Stiegel was the intended target to the field. He tried to get open, but he had the safety LaRose over top of him. Couldn't do it.
Osterhaus survived the contact, and now the Eskimos will try and answer back, and Gaylor's got a catch to the 36. Yeah, a couple of years ago, there was the surprise Osterhaus touchdown, and there's some old-timers watching saying, why don't they use tight ends in the league anymore?
Well, he made a receiver-like adjustment, when his quarterback was scrambling. Then he went up and caught the football with his hands, not his body, and he took a hit.
Looks like Tony Gabriel. 2nd and 3. Pressure underneath. McClendon with the flag down. Gets it outside. Ron McClendon all the way up to the 46, pending the penalty marker. And it is against Winnipeg. 5:13 on the clock.
Lots of football to be played with these two quarterbacks. That drive for Kevin Glenn started after that penalty from his 5-yard line.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 44, declined.
And Ricky Ray, sir, Ricky Ray has plenty of time with the football. In fact, Kevin Glenn has time to get it back should Ray go down and score.
When they built Canada Stadium, they really supercharged this building. They're revved up here. And they're even more revved up as Doug Brown drops Ray. There is a flag down on the play. In the secondary, will the sack stand?
Boy, Jerome Haywood got out of his stance like he was shot out of a cannon, and he flushes Ricky Ray into the arms of Doug Brown.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 90, 5-yard penalty.
Adrian Baird now in as one of the guys shuttling in for the injured Gavin Walls.
Boy, it didn't look like there was much movement unless Adrian Baird lined up offside.
Eskimos did that on a key 3rd down play against Winnipeg in the opening week. Ray's got to fight this crowd. 1st and 5. McClendon left side. And he's up near midfield, about a yard short of the 1st down.
Right now, both Doug Brown and Jerome Haywood are getting tons of penetration. Whether it be passing down or that running down to Rod McClendon. That time, Doug Brown was about 4 yards in the backfield.
Eskimos lost Kevin Lesford to a concussion last week. Dan Komisky's out of this game. The other guard. And Roundtree and McLean are in there. And now the man who had the touchdown, John Osterhaus, comes in to join the front on 2nd and a yard and a half. And the give, McClendon breaks him. Ron McClendon foot race. Neil McKinley trying to cut him off and knocks him out inside the 10.
This is the advantage on short yardage of turning around and handing it to your running back rather than going on the quarterback sneak. Because if he gets a crease, every one of the defenders are up in the line of scrimmage for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and look at the daylight. No second level. If Ron McClendon can get one block, and he does from Raleigh Roundtree right here to get the kick-out block, open up that crack, and away goes Ron McClendon.
In week 1, both Roberts and Ebell had 56-yard robs. This a 47-yarder for McClendon. And it sets up 1st and goal at the Bomber 9. Under 3.5 minutes to play. Ray with time, end zone, Peterson, touchdown! The former Bomber has given Edmonton the lead. He had a go-ahead touchdown in week 1 against the Bombers and has another go-ahead touchdown late in the 4th quarter against his old club.
Perfect read pickup here from Ricky Ray. Look at him, look over here. He sees what? No safety on this side, no safety in the middle. If there's no defender deep in the middle, he's always got at least one receiver going to that middle. If anyone decided, he looks off, looks to his left, and just drops in a perfect pass to Kamal Peterson at the back of the end zone.
7th touchdown pass of the year thrown by Ricky Ray. And now he's got a challenge. And do they get the challenge in time? Well, Doug Barry's crew upstairs isn't convinced. Peterson got both feet in, and he just got the flag down in the nick of time.
Get that telltale.
Well, now, have the Eskimos taken the lead?
Well, we saw it from behind the first time around, and as soon as that replay ran, Doug Barry in a hurry. Let's go. He looks like he has possession right
There's
now.
The left foot.
He's got, is that left foot down? And the right
second foot's on the white line, but he only needs
one. You only need 1 foot.
I think it's challenging whether the ball
was caught
inbounds or out of bounds.
the ball caught when that left foot was on the ground?
That's a great challenge, though, because with the go-ahead, is the foot on the ground with possession? The left foot, that's the question, because if the right foot is first down after possession, it looks like it's on the white paint.
Let's take one more look at it again, and this might be a better angle. Yeah, the left foot, that left toe's on the ground. Does he have control? And I think he does. I mean, look at 2 things. Okay, right now, if you stop it, guys, right there. Okay, that left foot is on the ground. Now, is the ball in control before it comes up, and then the other one becomes the foot of interest? Foot still on the ground now, and it looks like he has the football squarely in his hands there, but that other foot certainly looks like it's on the right line, on the white line.
It wasn't Peterson's best footwork, and will certainly leave this in the balance. But again, it has to be ruled.
Upon review, the Edmonton receiver's first foot came down inbounds. Play stands as it is. Touchdown.
And that didn't take long.
I would have got another one anyway. Ethan Peterson for 6, right?
Well, there he is, acknowledging the old nickname.
And Frag is irrelevant in this league anyway.
It's now come Peterson tonight. So a 3-point lead in the convert to come.
That one was on the floor. That's a fucking bullshit.
And the Bombers still looking at the scoreboard and disagreeing with the video ruling. But video is supposed to solve all the controversy. We argue all of them.
It's game time! Make your voice heard. Vote now for the Rogers Player of the Game. Using your Rogers phone, type the first letter of your player's city and his jersey number, then send to Go CFL. 99 cents Canadian per message sent, or vote online at cfl.ca.
Trainee guy, I'm out of burgers. Can you give me some more?
Yeah, sure.
I love video, dear Ophelia.
I'm just looking for some burger patties.
Pray tell, trainee knave. Burgers in the freezer.
Freezing burgers is just wrong. That's why at Wendy's, ours are made of fresh, never frozen beef.
That's right.
We took the Land Rover LR3 and compared it to the Hyundai Santa Fe. The Santa Fe beat the Land Rover in the 0 to 60 test and in the quarter-mile test. It also beat the Land Rover on the dry slalom and the wet slalom course, as well as in dry and wet accident avoidance tests. But the Land Rover did beat the Santa Fe in number of cup holders. Well, you can't win everything. The Hyundai Santa Fe, $22,000 less than the Land Rover, and a few less cup holders. Hyundai, smart move.
Larry had a problem.
Trying to get my pension changed to my kids.
Chuck was his solution.
Domestic partnership.
We're not gay. On July 20th, Adam Sandler, Kevin James.
What do you got? Maxi pads.
We're supposed to be gay, not transsexual.
Chuck and Larry starts July 20th.
Tonight's game story brought to you by Sport Check, your Under Armour headquarters.
Edmonton has done a nice job against Milt Stegall. Kevin Glenn, this offense had a dismal first quarter, have regrouped in the second, and in this second half have played very well. Ricky Ray is trying to match him and did with that touchdown throw. Terrace Edwards, the best receiver for Winnipeg so far, but I would suggest there's a chapter yet to be written in this one.
Lots of time, 2:45 and 29,533. A sellout crowd here on the edges of their seats. Down at the 44-yard line by Matt Bertram. 7 plays, 82 yards. Capped by Kamau Peterson's touchdown catch.
Holding, Winnipeg, number 33. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Brad Newman, the rookie, out of New Westminster, and UBC called, and that negates the Fred Reed return. And now the ball's back inside the 15, but remember, we're inside the 10 when Kevin Glenn engineered the 12-play touchdown march.
Well, there is lots of time, but Kevin Glenn will have to be efficient coming in and out of the huddle.
Short drop, flag down, and that one off Stoddard's hands and off the fingertips of Kerry Johnson as well.
I think it was a freebie for Kevin Glenn. I think he saw the Edmonton Eskimos jump offside here. Decided to whip it out there. He didn't have a deep receiver as an option. Both Kerry Johnson and Stoddard were quick outs.
Number 53, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Raheem Abdullah.
And this is sort of how that last series began. Remember, Winnipeg had a procedure call, then Edmonton matched it with an offside call, and then the Bombers went the rest of the way.
1st and 5. Critical game. Eskimos trying to even their record. They've got back-to-back with Saskatchewan coming up. There's Bill Stiegel and Morgan. First man there with help. Stiegel with the first down and his 3rd catch of the night. Four touchdowns in the last 3 starts against Edmonton. You know, in his first 8 years against the Eskimos, only 3 touchdowns. They had his number, but of late, Stiegel's had theirs. Play halted. And the frequency of penalties increasing here. And somebody moved on that Bomber offensive line.
Well, Kevin Glenn right now has got to get them in and out of the huddle a little more efficient time. Now, in fairness to him, he's trying to get the call. He gets the signal from the sideline. He's got to check that wristband to match up the signal with the play number he wants, but he may even try and call 2 plays in the huddle and try and get into a hurry up. He's about 30 to 40 seconds away from having to go to hurry up offense.
Procedure, Winnipeg 66, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Big Alex Gauthier, the left tackle, moved prematurely. Remember, BC, Saskatchewan, the battle of unbeatens. Coming up next, the Bombers trying to stay unbeaten. But they have to come back here. Stiegel again. Morgan, the tackle again. At the 30-yard line, it will be 2nd and 7 after the 8-yard pickup.
Boy, on that last play, J.R. LaRose, the safety, went right down in the line of scrimmage and then slowly backed out of there. And he is trying to disguise coverage on Kevin Glenn, which is playing with confidence, but he better be careful to not let disguise beat him.
Well, big play here. 2nd and 7. Loftus drops off. 3-man rush. Stiegel with his hands. Incomplete. You don't see that much. And now 1:58 on the clock. Remember, your long snappers, 2 of them have been injured. You go 3rd and 7. No, you send Adrian Baird out. Rob Pakula, and you punt the ball away. And the fans are not all in agreement with this decision.
I'm
but
not
it's
so
the right
sure.
one, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
You know, a minute 58 is plenty of time in the Canadian Football League. You can get a 2 and out in about 10-12 seconds, and you got your timeout situation as well. So I don't know that this is a bad move. I kind of like it. I like this move.
Again, all eyes on Adrian Baird, though, the number 3 long snapper. Not a bad job. And Pakula easily gets it away. Into the wind to Tompkins at his 42, running the wrong way, and dropped by Greg Behrman, who had the touchdown last week. But there is a flag.
Make your voice heard. Vote now for the Rogers Player of the Game. Using your Rogers phone, type the first letter of your player's city and his jersey number, then send to Go CFL. 99 cents Canadian per message sent, or vote online at cfl.ca.
Okay, this means war.
I can't wait to see the look on their faces.
It's so easy.
I know. They're taking candy from a baby.
Introducing the all-new 2007 Jeep Patriot, starting at $16,995. Choose your adventure.
At my hotel, I make it my business to know what families like most.
With things like breakfast and fresh in-room coffee.
Watch movies or surf the internet in your room. And with us, your kids stay free.
At my Best Western, you're not just a guest, you're my guest.
Best Western. Ownership shows. Stay at any Best Western 6 nights between June 29th and August 12th and get your wishes granted too with a Fairly Odd Parents $50 travel card. Visit bestwestern.com for details.
The Sharp Championship Golf Giveaway is back. Enter today and you could win a Sharp Aquos 37-inch 1080p LCD TV and a set of Callaway Golf Big Bertha irons and Big Bertha 460 driver. Plus, over $10,000 in instant prizes. Enter today at sharpgolf.ca.
Officials picked up the flag, so the Eskimos have it at their 36-yard line. Bombers looking for a 2-and-out. Ricky Ray going to the air, has Kamal Peterson brought down by David Bush, close to a critical first down. And how about the Eskimos' bravado throwing in that situation?
Yeah, well, you full credit to the coaching staff. I mean, they've seen some good performances and watched Winnipeg sort of snatch victory from defeat. Think back to last year. Well, Jacques Chapdelaine wasn't here last year for the Edmonton Eskimos, and he goes to the passing game with no backs in the backfield.
Jacques' former team, the BC Lions, getting set to go against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's coming up next. This game very much still in the balance with 90 seconds to go. First down, McClendon trying to stay in bounds. It's a couple of hard-earned yards.
Jerome Haywood got up there just complaining to the officials that he was held by Patrick Kabongo as he tried to cut off Ron McClendon from getting any yards, in fact, possibly losing yards. Kabongo put the clamps on him and got away with it.
So now the Bombers look for a stop, which would give them the ball back with just under a minute, one would presume. Ricky Ray looking for a new set of downs. Second and 8. Pressure. Hebert's got him. Back at the 40. The safety, Kairos Hebert.
He did not disguise a thing. Hebert comes off the edge. And this is not a penalty to Hebert. Here he is right here, and watch him come off the edge on Ricky Ray. Unblocked, and it's not a penalty going to the head because Ricky Ray tries to duck the tackle, and when he does, he gets a little bit of a collar around the helmet. At times, that's been called. It won't be this time. Hebert right off the edge, clean.
First sack of the season for the Bombers safety. Third of the game for Winnipeg. 1:01 on the clock.
We need it. Hey, Mom. Still making plays. I ain't stopping since I was 7.
And Fleming gets him to kick to Albert Johnson III. Good punt by Fleming. At the 22, Johnson has a great return. That'll shorten the field a little bit to the Winnipeg 40.
Don't touch that dial, turn up your set. It's all the way live and we're keeping it fresh. From the north to the east, the south and west. You're now rocking with the best. So don't touch that dial, turn up your set. It's all the way live and we're keeping it fresh. From the north to the east, the south and west. You're now rocking with the best.
Well, they tied it in the final minute in week 1 against Edmonton. And they come back here. Catch by Stoddard, punished at the 45. Gain of 5, maybe 6. 2nd and 4 in 3-down football range for Winnipeg with 47 on the clock.
3 downs and calling the plays on the line of scrimmage, which should keep the Edmonton defense in fairly vanilla coverage.
Stiegel lines up to the short side. And they look for Kerry Johnson. And that ball sailed on Glenn, incomplete. Now 3rd down. And they have to get a fresh set of downs. They need at least 4.
Well, timing a little off for Kevin Glenn there. He waited a split second, and then Kerry Johnson slid into the middle a little bit more, and that ball was thrown to the outside. But the game comes down to this one right here.
6 receivers set with Roberts lined up as a wideout. Here comes the rush. Kevin Glenn has time, dumps it. Kerry Johnson has the first down at the Winnipeg 53 with 33 seconds left.
Boy, Kevin Glenn aimed that one, didn't he? He didn't want to put too much on that. He just aimed it in there, almost caressed that ball to Johnson.
Did have a little bit of a shot put look to it, but it got the job done. 5 receiver package this time. O'Neal Wilson through his hands as he tried to pull another one down from Kevin Glenn.
O'Neal Wilson just drops into that hole in the zone. He's the outside guy, and watch how the Edmonton Eskimos have one underneath and one over top. There's the underneath man here, over top guy here, and O'Neal Wilson's in between. That ball just a little bit high and sailed on him. They need a big chunk of yardage here, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, so that they can go to the end zone on a throw and not hope that a receiver can run it to the end zone after the catch.
Again, a 6-pack for Kevin Glenn. Looking for Stiegel, and he's got it. Another first down out of bounds. Stops the clock with 20 seconds to go.
Now they can throw to the end zone. They don't have to on this play. Stiegel in traffic with the biggest catch of the game for the Bombers. He splits the double team.
17 Glenn to Stiegel. Remember, it's a 4-point game. The Bombers need a touchdown, but there is time. And could there be a storybook finish? Look one way, now the other. No one there, and he dumps it off to Roberts. And Charles Roberts close to another first down. 10 seconds on the clock.
Not a bad decision from Kevin Glenn. The only problem with it was it took too long. It took an extra few seconds off the clock. He could have probably run for the same amount of yardage, but not a bad decision for Glenn to put it into the running back's hands. Let the guy who knows how to do it run the football. It just took a couple ticks off the clock.
How many plays do they have left? First down. Glenn looking for Edwards. Incomplete. Not close with 2 seconds left. And it will be third down. One last shot. I'm a little surprised that Milt Stiegel wasn't flagged for offside.
Jason Goss is going to maintain his poise in a clutch situation and continue to battle for the Edmonton Eskimos because Edwards had both hands on the football, but Jason Goss did not give up on it. So it comes down to this.
Didn't it come down to a final play last year?
It did.
Back up! Back up! What a finish. One more shot from the 28. Kevin Glenn looking that way. Jump ball! defensive effort by Danny Machocha's crew. And Edmonton has its first win of 2007. And we'll have to wait another week for history here in Winnipeg. What a game it was. And the Edmonton Eskimos hang on for the 4-point victory. Well, it's time now for the Friday Night Gladiator, brought to you by Castrol. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engineering.
Boy, lots of candidates tonight. O'Neill Wilson was one for that hit, but you know who he hit? Ray Perryman got up, was asked to cover Milkstiegel down the field, made tackles on the run, took the big hit from O'Neill Wilson and jumped up. Hey, Ray Perryman, and a great job when he didn't expect to play tonight, is our Gladiator.
Tonight's Gladiator will receive a Movado Series 800-watch Movado, the art of performance.
Yeah, and this is what the athletes are wearing, these watches, and these guys are fired up about it. Congratulations to Ray Perryman. He deserved it tonight.
Well, it was a thriller in week one. It turned out to be a different kind of thriller here tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Glenn. A good one in Winnipeg. And now we are going to take you directly to